Oh, man. It's been a long day. What have I got? Yeah, that's it.
Firm handshake to you've all heard the jokes. A company is looking to fill an entry-level
Quick bit back.
role that requires 10 years of experience on a niche program that was only launched 20 months ago. A master's degree isn't necessary, but it's highly preferred. Oh, and the salary is $15 an hour with the expectation of reasonable overtime. Now, good satire always has an element of truth, and the reality is that these kind of job listings are becoming much more common as people are getting increasingly desperate to find any kind of work. The simple business calculation is that there is no real risk or cost to advertising these jobs and huge hidden upsides even if they never end up hiring anybody. Now, this by itself would be a truly annoying hurdle in the already stressful search for a new job. But there is another side to all of this as well. The narrowing margin between underqualified and overqualified has made huge sections of the workforce almost unemployable, and it's doing it in a way that has been very hard to pick up in the data. Now, scummy tactics in the job market probably aren't that shocking to any of you watching the Extended Cuts channel. But this unique blend of factors and new trends are now all getting thrown into the mix alongside the rush towards AI redundancies and an already highly uncertain economy.
22-year-old Michael Macaluso just earned his degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Connecticut.
You all good?
But this summer, he's back helping manage his hometown pool.
In August, businesses added just 22,000 new jobs.
That's actually quite a weak number. Looking at that in isolation, that would actually be a lot more consistent with the start of a recession.
Lots of big tech companies have announced massive layoffs. On Wednesday, Mark Zuckerberg apologized to workers for 11,000 planned job cuts at Meta.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. An entry-level job paying $8 an hour with no benefits at an unremarkable company. Oh, and they want you to have at least 3 years experience in a similar role and preferably a master's degree. Why the f are entry-level jobs not entry-level anymore? Searching for a job is a difficult and time-consuming task. Most Americans do not have enough savings to survive for more than 2 weeks without going into debt, which means it is also stressful. No matter how efficient the hiring process is made, you are never going to have fun looking for a job, and nothing can change that. But the corporate world has introduced a lot of obstacles that make the job of finding a job as painful as possible. Filling out online forms for information already on your resume, going through multiple rounds of interviews, and getting ghosted by hiring managers for hundreds of positions is enough to drive anybody mad.
Responded to me. 4 of those went on to a phone call after an email exchange, and then 1 of those turned into an interview. 0 of them turned into a job that was actually desperate for help.
It's also simply bad business. Attracting the right talent is vital for business success. If businesses make their application process too difficult, they are going to filter out everybody but the most desperate candidates, which are rarely the best candidates. Companies that ask for multiple years of experience from applicants applying for entry-level jobs also expose themselves to a similar risk. It might sound advantageous for the business to get an employee with years of experience that they can pay like a fresh graduate, but company management frequently overlooks the reason that these applicants are looking for entry-level jobs in a field they have been working in for years, and it's that they are not that good at their job and they need to keep moving companies before their poor performance catches up with them. A recent study conducted by Portland State University and published by the Harvard Business Review found that overqualified candidates did not outperform the control group, and that paying significantly under market rates for talent will cost most businesses more in other areas. Bloated hiring processes are also expensive. Sponsored job postings on sites like Indeed, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor can cost hundreds of dollars per day, easily more than the successful applicant will be paid once they are on board and working. Multiple rounds of interviews also take paid hours from HR, hiring managers, and third-party recruiters. Recruiters work on a commission basis for successfully placed candidates. But if a company makes candidates go through multiple rounds of interviews, the recruiters can ask for a higher fee, or they will be incentivized to send their best recruits to companies that have a simple hiring process so they can get paid quickly and reliably. It's bad business, and good company managers know it, but there are 3 reasons why they still do it anyway. The first reason is that it's become too easy to apply for a job. Indeed has 60 million monthly users, and LinkedIn has over 200 million. Online job boards make it easy for applicants to apply for hundreds of jobs every day based on convenient filters that let them search results by industry, seniority, experience, and salary range. Companies can get several thousand applications for a single position, because the optimal job search strategy has become spamming your resume into as many positions that vaguely fit the description of the job you are looking for.
Which
Companies
isn't the
have
best
attempted to
either.
adapt to this by having landing pages where users can fill in their details into the company's own database by manually completing an online form. These forms typically ask for information that should be included on any good resume, but it enters it in a way that can be read by a computer instead of being read by a hiring manager, saving them the time of manually going through thousands of applications by hand to find the attributes they are looking for in a candidate. The back end of these forms will enable the hiring manager to search through the candidates by a similar set of filters that the candidates themselves use to find the job posting, evening the arms race between the volume of applications and the people that check those applications.
You're quantifying human behavior, human expressions, human voices, turning that into data.
We're now using artificial intelligence to help companies find the very best talent.
Some companies have started using application tracking systems, or ATS, which use AI to scrape resumes for keywords to populate databases that can be filtered in the same way without requiring candidates to fill in a data entry form themselves.
And most likely you were being analyzed by an algorithm. How does that make you feel?
I feel like that would blindside me entirely.
This practice has become so common that there are now AI tools like Zeti, JobScan, and Rezi that check resumes against job posts and make sure that they are appealing to the AI system that check resumes before the hiring manager does. So, an AI will write a resume to satisfy another AI to stand out against thousands of other
That's
applications
crazy.
also written and checked by AI. Applying for a job has become easier than when you had to search the classifieds and call companies one at a time. But this means people can apply for more jobs. More applications means that the acceptance rate at each job is much lower. And the best way to deal with this low acceptance rate is to apply for more jobs, which means that applying for a job has become harder all over again. Nobody is to blame for this new paradigm. I love making fun of dumb corporate decisions on this channel, but in this case, they are just reacting to new technology that has made finding applicants easier than ever, and everybody else is reacting to the same thing. The competitive meta of job searching has shifted from a firm handshake to mass spamming resumes to get past increasingly difficult spam filters. But that's just one reason, and there are plenty of things that companies are doing which are just dumb. So it's time to learn how money works to find out why entry-level jobs all of a sudden require 3 years experience and how you can take advantage of this benefit for your own career. Some of the most valuable assets in the modern economy are things you can't sell. Your files, documents, and spreadsheets generate a lot of value, just not for you. They are valuable to platforms that can analyze and monetize them, which is why today's video is sponsored by Proton Drive. Proton is the team behind Proton Mail, trusted by over 100 million people worldwide, from journalists to security experts. They are based in Switzerland, where some of the strongest privacy laws in the world exist. Proton Drive is end-to-end encrypted cloud storage, meaning your files, photos, and even metadata stay private. No scanning, no profiling, and nothing is used to train AI models. That matters more than people realize, because financial data like budgets, projections, and work documents is some of the most valuable data there is. Proton recently expanded this with Proton Sheets, which lets you work on spreadsheets with the same encryption guarantees. Whether you are tracking expenses or collaborating on financial documents, that data stays yours. I use Proton Drive for work files and personal projects I don't want floating around. Everything stays synced across my devices, and I know only I can access it. Unlike big tech cloud services, Proton Drive is private by default, and you can securely share files with password-protected links when needed. If you want cloud storage that does not depend on monetizing your information, you can try Proton Drive for free using the link in the description or pinned comment. The second reason that companies have made it so difficult to apply for jobs is because they want to cover their ass. There are lots of reasons why a hiring manager might want to pick one job applicant over another, but not all of them are legal. And even if they don't violate any equal opportunity laws, some might be a bad look for the company. By listing lots of unreasonable job requirements, the company increases the likelihood that no applicant will tick every box, which means they can hire whomever they want and cover themselves by saying all of the other candidates were missing one or more of.
It also goes into something that a lot of businesses do, where they can tailor the requirements so only the person that they already want to hire for the position meets those requirements perfectly, and that saves them like from legal liability as well.
The role's prerequisites. It's rare that companies get much pushback over
Okay,
rejecting
non-Google,
an external
non-Microsoft
candidate.
software.
Most
Yeah.
people have just become accustomed to
Subcon.
never hearing back from a majority of jobs they apply for. If you have ever applied for a job recently, you will know that no response is the new rejection letter.
First time.
If companies do respond, they try to keep it as generic as possible, so that they do not expose themselves to any potential unfair hiring practice lawsuits, which makes a long list of job requirements redundant. Where these do help companies, though, is in rejecting internal hires. According to a study by Cornell University, internal hires outperformed outside hires, but only because they are more familiar with the business from day one, requiring less training to get into a new role, and because they were more likely to stay in a job longer than the outside hire. A similar study by McKinsey Consulting found that a strong culture of internal promotions helped with staff retention and encouraged staff to work harder to qualify because they could see it paying off for them.
The pandemic, a lot of companies
Yeah, otherwise, why would you give a fuck?
not flush financially, so they can't afford to hire a new person.
Internal promotions are effective, but they are also more difficult than outside hires. If you get promoted or moved around within your company, then someone else needs to be hired to fill your role. And if someone gets promoted to fill your role, then HR has to fill 3 positions instead of just 1, which is
And all of them need training at that point. It's the problem where the entire vertical stack of a company has to be replaced.
expensive, difficult, and triples the chance that someone won't be able to perform their new job. People hired internally also don't have probationary periods, so if they do underperform in their new role, they are harder to let go. Internal hires have advantages, but external hires are easier and present less risk. If a company has no strong internal candidates for a new role, but it doesn't want to lose the benefits that come from occasionally promoting people from within, then the most effective strategy for them is to increase the job requirements so they can tell their existing staff that, unfortunately, they don't qualify based on the job's criteria. I know I say it a lot, but this is another reason why the best thing you can do in your career in your early years is to consistently apply for new jobs that are better than the one you currently have. Workers that change their jobs every 2 years earn on average 50% more than their colleagues who show loyalty to a company. Sticking around might get you a promotion, but there's no way to know how long it will take for other people to move out of their positions. Having experience at different companies is also more valuable to new employers than long-term tenure at a single employer. When employers ask for 3 years experience, they are often satisfied with candidates that talk about dealing with similar challenges in different industries. So you should apply anyway and just have some kind of experience to talk about, even if it's not doing the same job or even a job at all. And that's the third reason why employers make job requirements that are so out of touch with the job they are offering. They want to see how applicants deal with the challenge. There is an old saying in business that even if you are not in sales, you are in sales. Most people do not have jobs that require cold calling leads to generate revenue, but those soft skills are still important in every job. Dealing with difficult customers, difficult coworkers, being able to present a strong argument, or simply showing empathy for a client's needs are all skills that could be demonstrated by an applicant when they are questioned about a shortcoming of their qualifications against the job requirements. If you're in a job interview and can provide a strong response to a question like this that eases the interviewer's concerns without disregarding them, you will probably end up doing better than someone who didn't even have that experience gap. If you can deal with an interviewer's concerns, then you have clearly demonstrated that you can deal with the other challenges as they are presented to you, a skill that is worth more than anything you can write down on a resume. And that's the fourth reason. Some managers do know what makes a good hire, but most don't. People are promoted into management positions based off having experience in a subordinate role. Managers are therefore naturally inclined to believe that when it comes to hiring someone, more experience is more better. It's a reasonable assumption that someone that has practice in a role should be better than someone with no practice.
No,
In fact, I
always.
said it at the beginning of this video, and you probably just accepted it. But corporate roles in non-technical fields change so rapidly today that the benefit is negligible. A 30-year-old study conducted by the Internal Congress of Applied Psychology in Madrid found no strong correlation between experience and job performance. Since this study was published, follow-up studies including a publication from the Harvard Business Review in 2019 found the same thing. Most corporate managers do not read journal articles about statistical correlations between hiring parameters and job performance. Most go off their own experience, which is the value of experience. They do the same for other job requirements because the safest move for them is to find a candidate that ticks the most boxes. Experience can help a business, but so can new ideas. And neither is more valuable than the other. In fact, if it wasn't for an enthusiastically inexperienced employee, Nintendo might still be a taxi company and proprietor of a love hotel. I'm not kidding. Far from being too inexperienced to meaningfully contribute to their employer's bottom line, most people are too good for the jobs they currently have, but companies are still gaslighting them into thinking they suck. There are 8.2 million job
Just to keep
openings
them
in
down.
America right
It's a
now,
psychology
and around
thing.
7 million people actively looking for a job. There are also millions of Americans who have simply given up on even trying to look for a job. But still, companies are complaining that they can't get the people they need. There is one reason that has been used time and time again to explain all of this.
A range of companies are looking at how to close the skills gap.
Just a skill
Due
gap.
to a skills gap.
skills gap.
Yep, the skills gap. There are people
Hey,
looking for
what?
work and jobs on offer, but the skills of those people and the requirements of the jobs just don't line up. It's a simple, elegant explanation to a major problem, but it's also almost entirely made up. The skills gap, also known as the skill shortage, or just good old structural unemployment, is a convenient excuse for a lot of major issues in today's job market that are often swept under the rug by businesses, politicians, and even economic statistics. If a hospital is hiring a doctor, but the only person in town looking for a job has a degree in computer science, then obviously that role is not going to be filled regardless of how much time and effort the applicant has put into their education. The argument that you would have seen is that this same problem is playing out everywhere across the world, which is why even if companies claim to be desperate to hire people, you might struggle to find a job. The whole
Yeah, because they're trying to find the wrong people.
argument conveniently shifts the blame of any labor market problems onto the workers
There are
because
several
they are the
famous
ones that
stories
haven't
about
trained
this,
the right
yeah.
skills or developed the right experience. The first problem with this idea, though, is how the problem of the skills gap quietly slips away during the good times. Research published by economists from Harvard, Northern University, and the Federal Reserve found a striking relationship between unemployment and the experience that employers look for in their candidates. The team collected data on over 36 million job postings over 3 years, and what they found was that the skills and experience required was almost directly proportional to the unemployment rate. In plain English, what this meant was that when there were lots of people looking for a job, all of a sudden the skills requirement for roles became a lot higher.
Yeah, because higher competition, but then you run into this slippery slope where you create expectations so high that no one can fulfill them, not for the money that they're actually willing to pay, right?
And this is when
And then you
people will
just
start
hire a desperate person for a job that's just bad at it. They have the experience on paper, but they are just trash at their job.
complaining about a skills gap. But when unemployment is lower and there aren't that many people applying for jobs, suddenly the skills gap isn't such a big problem and companies are happy to hire whoever they can get. Now, as long as they aren't discriminating based on protected classes, companies can
Which is
basically
sort of
hire
what's
whoever
happening
they
in
want
Poland.
and ask for whatever skills they can. If unemployment is high and they can be greedy with their job requirements, that's just business. But the problem is, the myth of the skills gap is used to justify a lot of bad stuff. The first is simply lower wages. If companies post a position with high skill requirements and they don't get any applicants that meet their unreasonably high bar, they can go back to the best applicant with a lower salary and benefit offer than advertised, pointing out the gaps in their skills as a reason for the lower offer. This is just basic salary negotiation tactics. But the myth of the skills gap makes it easier for companies to get away with this. A report by MIT found that most jobs advertised in America asked for skills like programming that were actually not required to perform the job. They looked specifically at
fuck?
IT help desk technicians that deal with computers, so most companies ask for programming skills. The thing is, though, most IT help desk techs don't actually use programming for anything. But a lot of
Yeah, I mean, oh my god. They're just supposed to help users get around and, continue their jobs or fulfill their roles in the company. It's mostly about like adding printers to someone's PC or configuring those, inventory management, solving like network issues. What else? Setting up VPNs on people's computers. It's just menial bullshit jobs most of the time. You don't need fucking programming for that at all. I mean, completely different job. IT is not a programmer.
Companies just assume that computers equal code, and so make it a job requirement. The report actually found that programming was just as useful in manufacturing plants as it was in IT help desk work. But factory machine operators were far more likely to get on-the-job training on how to program their machines than IT workers who were just assumed to know how to code. But lower wages are far from the worst thing that the myth of the skills gap has been used to push for. It's also been an incredible tool for lobbying on migration policy, education funding, and workplace protections. These are worth looking at one by one, because you are probably going to start hearing a lot of familiar sound bites. If there was actually a supply of good paying jobs available to people that were going unfilled because of the skills gap, then the traditional market assumption would be that people would retrain to fill those roles to increase their income and job security. But that isn't happening because there are problems with every part of this assumption. The first problem is that a lot of the jobs we have a skills gap for here in America don't actually pay that well. According to a report by the Society of Resource Management,
Yeah, it's
the
not
hardest
worth the
roles to
risk
fill currently include jobs like nursing,
or the
teaching, the
investment.
trades, and social service work. Most jobs in these roles do not pay enough to support a comfortable life in a major city, especially for entry-level employees into the roles. The trades can be great, but apprentice tradesmen are not going to earn much until they are fully qualified, and even then, they need to work significant overtime or own their own business to make a comfortable salary in most parts of the country. Even still, they are going to be better off than teachers and nurses who not only need a college degree where they won't be paid anything, they also need on-the-job training before they are earning anything at all. That's on top of reports about extreme job stress, brutal work schedules, and the general lack of respect these roles receive. Putting your career on hold, spending tens of thousands of dollars on a college degree, and dealing with difficult patients or often dangerous patients or children is not that enticing to Americans who would consider a career switch because the income for these roles hasn't risen in line with the demand gap. There is not a skills shortage. There is just a shortage of people who want to do difficult jobs for bad pay. People in these roles who already have the skills to perform the job at a high level are leaving because it's just not worth making the sacrifices necessary when there are easier jobs that pay just as much or more. A counterexample to this trend was the rush to train computer science. The tech industry in the 2000s was expanding.
That's an issue because there's like so many people that went into the field that have no business being in that field. They have no fucking idea what they're doing. They don't really care. They only went into that field because there was money there. So they will never be good at it because of that. And most first world countries have overproduction of highly educated people. No country needs that many. That's why there's so much competition. Like, after I landed my first job, I didn't really have a problem finding a new job. A new job pretty much came to me always before I even quit my previous job. It was just people talking to me like, "Oh, we would like to hire you," friends recommending me and shit like that. And it's probably not true for everyone because I do invest a lot of my time into learning the job that I do, getting better at it, and so on. But so do many other people. It's like in certain fields, there's just way more competition. For example, nowadays there's a severe shortage of any people that are willing to do trades jobs. electricians, plumbers, framers, carpenters, whatever. No one wants to do those jobs because they're dirty. But you can make really good money doing any of them, precisely because no one wants to do them. And you have like you have an overproduction of highly educated people, and once you go to a university, you spend all that time getting your education, your degree, whatever, your credentials. You're not willing to go and into a fucking ditch to fix a cable that some retard broke, right? Because it's dirty. I mean, you're knee deep in mud, working with electricity that can fucking kill you. But most of the people that finish university aren't that talented in anything at all. So, yeah, they have a problem because they have pretty much as much credentials as the next person. They don't stand out in any sort of way. They have no useful skills. And there's like a whole horde of them. So, yeah, for them, it's hard to find a job, or at least the job that they want, right? And those skills that they have are pretty much useless everywhere else. And on top of that, a lot of them back in the day wouldn't get a university degree. They probably wouldn't even get admitted into a university just because, they're just not that bright. But it's so easy to finish university degrees nowadays. Everyone has one, that it became meaningless, right?
Rapidly, and we didn't have enough coders to perform roles that actually needed programming skills. The allure of high-paying, respected jobs with a good work-life balance meant a lot of very smart people moved into that career path to fill the skills gap because there was a real reward for doing so. Now, there are actually too many qualified programmers, and as the tech industry has cooled down, hundreds of thousands of people have been laid off. Just 5 years ago, though, they would have been told that there isn't enough programmers, and companies are hiring whoever they can as fast as they can. So, the assumption that empty jobs are just waiting to be filled and the only thing standing in the way is the skills gap can be a bit dangerous. But the final piece of the puzzle is how profitable fixing this myth can be. Politicians can win some easy political points by talking about retraining programs, and companies can push the responsibility of staff training onto their workers or those government programs. The market research firm Allied Market Research values the corporate training market at over $361 billion, with it projected to grow to over $800 billion by 2035. That's a major industry just by itself, and it relies heavily on people believing that they are just one qualification away from landing a job that is just desperate to find the right worker. This industry is separate from traditional colleges and trade schools, but you already know what a mess that whole thing is. The skills gap has been a major lobbying tool by companies to push for this kind of training. Siemens, an industrial equipment manufacturer, paid for an article in The Atlantic talking directly to policymakers that the apprenticeships were the secret to closing the skills gap. Apprenticeships are actually great, but the reason that Siemens was paying to publish this article is that it would give them a new pool of skilled workers to pick from, not because they wanted to help out with labor force policies. And this is where you get to the most controversial part of the skills gap. It's used to justify immigration. Now, this is obviously a heated topic that everybody has their own set of opinions on, but it is possible.
I mean, it would justify it. It does make sense. If you have a labor shortage, you should feel it. Problem is, the people that are immigrating, they don't have the skills that you want. They're usually people that already failed at life in their own countries. So they're not exactly useful for that reason. What they are useful for, though, is voting. That's why they do it.
To advocate for more careful and deliberate immigration policies without going full, they took our jobs. The skills gap has been used to push for a lot of skilled migration, which has arguably gone too far in America, but it's been even more obvious in places like Canada, the UK, Australia, Germany, and New Zealand. The reason companies like this is because it lets them fill roles without putting upward pressure on salaries, and more people means more customers to sell products to. If the skills gap is front and center around these sensitive issues, it makes it easier for policy to be hand-waved through as an essential measure to keep the country functioning. Here in America, H-1B and EB-3 skilled working visas
Oh,
are
they
the
cracked
most common
down on
way to
those.
get in workers who fill skilled roles that can't be filled by an American.
They don't like H-1B anymore. I think there was a drama between Trump and Elon Musk. Because, you know, in those tech companies, most of their workers are H-1B. Because, you know, I mean, they don't have to even treat them like people. They can always just fire them. And if they don't find a new job very, very quickly, they just get deported. So they don't argue as much. They are more obedient and just as skilled in that regard. Because it's a different kind of immigration. It's not like people that are just coming to the US or whatever country because they failed. They're actually getting hired while still being in their own country, and then they are brought to the first world country.
They come with a strict set of rules to make sure that American workers are not disadvantaged by new foreign hires. But if job requirements are kept unreasonably high to make an artificial skills gap, it becomes easier to hire workers from overseas who will be dependent on that company's sponsorship to stay in America.
Yeah.
Who do you think is more likely to be a loyal employee? But depressing wages with visa shenanigans might also be an easy cover to deflect attention away from the fact that, for some time now, young people just don't know how to be a reliable professional anymore. According to a survey of young job seekers, a quarter of applicants admitted to bringing their parents to a job interview, 70% asked them for help for applying for jobs, and almost all successful applicants credited their parents with helping them land a job.
70% of Gen Zers ask their parents to help in a job search process. Of those who found a job, 83 credited success to parents. 25% of Gen Zers brought their parents to interviews. 1 in 4. Ah, it's crazy. That's just not. Well, he said, "Oh, they just don't know how to be reliable professionals." No, that's not even about it. That's just childish. What the fuck? Like, how is anyone supposed to hire you if you can't stand on your own 2 feet just to get into an interview? Like, they were already invited for an interview, but they came with their fucking parents. What the fuck? They're like, that screams you are going to be useless to anyone that's seen this, that's trying to hire people for a company. You are going to be useless because your parents aren't going to be with you 100% of the time while you're working. I mean, what the fuck? Might as well just hire your parents.
In some capacity. Another report found that 75% of companies could not rely on some or all of the college graduates they hired last year to perform their role to a satisfactory level, mainly because of a lax attitude towards their responsibilities. 90% of hiring managers surveyed are now suggesting that basic professional etiquette training should be taught in schools to reverse this trend. It's not painting a pretty picture, but in defense of generation brain rot, the companies themselves have not been doing any better. The rate of reported abuse, both physical and mental, overstepping of responsibilities, and good old-fashioned bad management were all higher in 2024 than they were any other year since we started comprehensively collecting this data. In an era where major employers spend hundreds of millions of dollars to blur the line between work life and make their laid-back office attitude part of their brand image, maybe this shouldn't be surprising. But no matter
they
who
treat it
eventually
like
gets
children.
blamed, there is now a lot of money on the line to reverse course. Some reports now estimate the uncivil behavior in the workplace is now costing the American economy $2 billion every day. So, have we really forgotten how to be professional? And is that actually a problem?
One national workplace survey found that 48 million people are bullied at work. So how does it stop?
Bullies and psychopaths.
I had a bit of a mental breakdown.
The post-pandemic fashion rules in the workplace are apparently shifting to be even more relaxed.
I'm always shocked by how people are so unprofessional.
It's a nice house for a $5 tip.
Tipping culture is tilting me, especially in America.
They put a mandatory tip, and I said, this is BS.
I'm not tipping.
There is a big difference between professionalism and competence.
Yeah, I'm not tipping either.
Sometimes
Fucker.
the most unprofessional people are the most competent, and often the most professional people suck at actually getting the job done. This is because
most of the time, because incompetent people use the veil of professionalism to hide their incompetence. They're just pretending. It's like it's all about optics. Whereas the people that can actually do their job, first of all, they don't worry about being fired because they know they are competent, so the company will not fire them. So they just, they can just get away with more. And the second part is they're just more relaxed while doing the job because, well, they know they got it. So they don't have to pretend. And the most professional people I've met were always the biggest fucking retard. Every single time.
As professionalism is a word that has slowly lost all meaning. Before the First World War, professionals were people who specialized in very specific fields that normally required a lot of trust between themselves and the people they served. These were people like doctors, lawyers, accountants, and bankers who, on top of being bound by the law, had their own industry bodies which laid out a code of ethics to make sure that people were comfortable putting their financial or actual lives in their hands. These professional industry groups still exist today. Accountants, lawyers, doctors, and even
I only
financial
tip the
analysts
servers if
all
they
have
do a
their
good
own
job,
industry
otherwise I don't.
associations
I
who are
just don't.
very selective about who they let in and are
Tipping actually hurts them because then the employers start paying them less. They should be getting a proper wage just for, working. They shouldn't have to rely on tips. Fuck that.
equally very liberal with who they throw out. However, the word professional was co-opted by corporations, particularly after the end of the Second World War, as a way to informally mandate certain behaviors like a dress code and even a way of speaking. Office workers were no longer just clerical administrators. They were professionals, and instead of taking an oath to their association, they would take an oath to their corporation, sometimes literally. Rob Hofstetler, a corporate executive himself, wrote a fantastic article about the erosion of the meaning of the word professionalism, where he basically just concluded that today it means people who are well behaved and don't question authority too much.
Yeah,
That is
obedient
something that has
sheep.
benefited companies as they grow larger and had more people to coordinate. But it doesn't explain why it started to go backwards. With trends like these, you need to remember that anecdotal evidence without data is usually just a sign of biases. It's easy to hate on the young college graduates just entering the workforce with their mornings full of energy and their heads full of broccoli. But that doesn't mean that they are less professional than previous cohorts. On the other hand, data without anecdotal evidence is usually just a sign of poor information collecting. However, the declining lack of professionalism in the workplace seems to be one of those occurrences with both a lot of anecdotal evidence and a lot of data to back it up. There have now been multiple reliable studies conducted on various aspects of normal workplace behaviors, and I am sure you have all had the iPad tip screen thrown at you by some disinterested barista.
Oh yeah, fuck off
What's
with that.
causing this? Well, there are some obvious culprits. The people who have entered the workforce for the first time in recent years probably spent a majority of their college years locked up at home. Now, college isn't exactly the bastion of professional behavior, but it does give students a taste of independence and responsibility. You are welcome to be blackout drunk at 5 a.m. as long as you make it to your 9 a.m. class for your end-term presentation. That's the kind of professionalism that America runs on. Anyway, since this mostly impacted people who went to college, this is mostly focused on office jobs, where the typical white-collar style of professionalism is most sought after. Another survey of managers conducted in 2024 found that almost 40% of them were now avoiding recent graduates in their hiring process, and typically that would not be something that companies would want to admit. Nearly half of them had to fire a recent graduate, with the primary reason being that they couldn't keep up with their workload. One of the biggest reasons why that started happening recently is because a lot of work in schools and colleges is now getting done by AI. I know it's not exactly shocking news, but the scale of AI cheating has now become so severe that schools are switching their curriculums back to standard pen and paper testing over self-directed research projects. Now, the actual problem this causes for graduates just entering the workplace is that for most entry-level office jobs, it's not as easy to use AI to get work done as it is for college assignments. If it was that easy, there's a pretty good chance that they wouldn't have a job in the first place.
And there's a good reason for that, because a lot of those college assignments, they're kind of similar. And that's just writing papers. It doesn't actually require any thinking a lot of the time, just research. And the internet is absolutely saturated with them. So the AI had like a lot of material to scrape through to get trained on and so on. So AI will always be pretty decent at those. Whereas jobs, like actual real jobs, you have to be more adaptive, flexible, sort of, because there's like many different things that you will do, and AI isn't great for that.
Brain rot and everybody going stir crazy during lockdowns was the whole story, that would be very convenient. But there is a lot more going on here, which unfortunately makes it a lot harder to blame it exclusively on the youth. The ideal version of what a professional is has changed more than once. 100 years ago, you were a professional if you had a specific profession. And then you were a professional if you put on business attire in the morning, went above and beyond for that promotion, and used words like synergy. Today, that's changing yet again. After 2008, there was a public pushback against the men in suits running the world, which coincided with the growth of post.com tech companies. In 2010, Apple became the most valuable company in the world. Facebook crossed 500 million users, and Google was consistently winning awards for being the best place to work. All of these companies embraced a counterculture image to some extent, which replaced office cubicles and suits with ping pong tables and flip-flops. The idea was that making the office feel more like home, talented people would be happy to spend a little bit longer at work, resulting in more output. It also aligned well with the brand image that they wanted to project, that sometimes the most competent people were not the ones in suits and in corporate huddles. Now, this is sort of true. An overfocus on professional appearance has been found to statistically be a way for people to cover up for the fact that they really don't know what they are doing. A study by Columbia Business School found that corporate jargon was often used as a coping mechanism by people who weren't keeping up on office tasks, and another study found that the overuse of professional-sounding jargon correlated with poorer decision-making because nobody knew what they were actually talking about. Getting rid of the pomp and ceremony that surrounded the idea of professionalism sounded like a good idea, especially for technology companies who were changing the way that people did their jobs
It's all
anyway.
pretending.
But fast forward another decade, and it's gone too far in the other direction. In certain businesses, there is now the not-so-subtle idea that the person wearing the sweatshirt and board shorts in the office must be the most competent person on the floor because they are ironically so unprofessional looking. You've almost inevitably seen or heard some variation of an anecdote like, in a room full of people with suits, the one man wearing jeans and a t-shirt is the most important. Now, I hate to burst that power fantasy bubble here, but in my experience,
Most important,
working on
no.
large corporate deals, including in San Francisco, this doesn't really happen all that often. Most successful business people know how to dress appropriately for a given occasion, but that hasn't stopped the idea from gaining popularity. The ultimate incarnation of this was someone like Sam Bankman-Fried, who was assumed to be a genius largely because of his unkept, unprofessional demeanor.
That's my quant.
Your what?
My quantitative. My math specialist. Look at him. You notice anything different about him? Look at his face.
That's pretty racist.
Look at his eyes.
Now, the commercial irony of this is that a lot of mainstream companies are only now just catching up with this idea, because they have convinced themselves that the world's most successful companies have offices that look like this, so if they want to be successful, they need to as well. The only businesses that have been left behind are primarily those with rigid organizational standards, like, well, doctors, lawyers, accountants, and engineers, the actual professions from a century ago. There have been more gradual changes in this time as well. The average professional behavior in a 1950s Mad Men-style corporate setting obviously wouldn't fly today. The scale of the professional workforce has also grown significantly as well. Blue-collar workers have their own brand of professionalism, but it's mainly focused on keeping themselves and their colleagues out of harm's way while delivering good work. It's focused a lot less on using the correct corporate-approved lingo. But the share of people working in the service industry has grown as a lot of these jobs were outsourced. This means that working in an office is no longer really an elite status symbol anymore, and so the expectation of how these people act has changed with it. Now, no matter the particular examples, the end goal is almost always the same. Being a professional is just good marketing for putting the business ahead of other priorities. Whether it was General Electric pushing the idea of being a professional so that even their entry-level staff would dress and act like senior executives, or Google making an office that people felt like home in, it is all just a way to get a little bit more out of their staff. Now, sometimes that is absolutely necessary. Hot take alert, a work environment where people want to go above and beyond is actually a good thing. A workplace where nobody knows how to behave themselves is just as miserable as an overly authoritarian workplace. But people are just caring less and less. The line between consummate professional and corporate cuck is getting blurrier. A recent survey conducted by the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the average person is now working just over 8 hours a day. That doesn't sound so bad until you realize that data includes weekends, which means that the average full-time employee is doing slightly more
Loads
than
of
a full
overtime.
workday every single day. That also doesn't include lunch breaks or commute time, and most of these additional hours are unpaid. According to the report, the average full-time employee is now doing more than 10 hours of unpaid overtime every single week. This would have been unthinkable before the 1980s, but now it's just part of being a responsible professional. But people are not as willing to put in that extra effort anymore for 3 reasons. The first is that a lot of the jobs that are seeing the sharpest drops in professionalism are really easy to get. A customer experience survey conducted by the research firm Forrester found that customer experience was now at its lowest level ever, primarily because of a lack of professionalism from service staff. Service staff on close to minimum wage really don't care about things like customer obsession. I know, shocking, right?
Here's the thing, I don't give a fuck if you're professional or not. All I want you to be is competent. I don't care what language you use. I just want a thing, I want the thing done, whatever. I don't care if you're professional. Because I know it's just the rules. I mean, I know it's all pretending. And you can't distinguish from people that are actually professional and pretending to be. Well, at least I can't. All I care about is whether you're competent, whether you know what you're talking about, whether you are good at your job. That's all I care about.
Now, in the past, there was always the motivation that they could lose their jobs. But now, in a lot of cities across America, that's not the same threat it used to be. Minimum wage jobs in a high cost of living center are surprisingly hard to fill. Turnover is already high, and if people do lose their jobs, there are now gig services like DoorDash or Uber to fall back on. For the second reason, we need to go slightly higher up the corporate ladder. Middle managers and general office staff used to see the benefits of going above and beyond in the name of professionalism, but now it's not so clear. The average time that people spend at a single company is dropping rapidly, so there is
Because
less
it's not worth
opportunity
it.
for internal promotions anyway. And on top of that, with average businesses now trying to roleplay as Google, it can be hard to determine what brand of professionalism these companies even want. This is all happening at the same time that people are told they are right on the precipice of being replaced by AI, so maybe being a good little corporate drone just makes them easier to replace. Finally, at the very top of the pile, the third reason is because people are seeing how their business leaders act. In the age of social media and LinkedIn drivel, it's become clear that the same people who will endlessly lecture their staff about professionalism are often not that professional themselves. We can probably all think of one particular HR department that's going to have the adventure of a lifetime explaining workplace etiquette in the future. Anyway, perhaps the most important question is, does this matter? If the pretense of performative professionalism is dropped, it will probably make it a lot easier for you to stand out by doing good, honest work. Our actual productivity has actually grown faster over the supposedly worst years of professionalism ever. So maybe there is something behind ditching the mask and just getting the job done. Despite this, and somewhat ironically, we might have shot ourselves in the collective foot
shit.
by spending far too much time getting ready for a good job and not enough time just doing it. Peter Turchin is a complexity scientist who mathematically models statistical dynamics of historical societies. He coined the theory of elite overproduction. He argues in his books and papers
Oh,
that
yeah,
societies
that.
make workers just like they make anything. A car goes through a factory, and a college graduate goes through a few decades of schooling. At the end, you get something that you can drive around in and something that can make pivot tables in Excel. The only difference is that a lump of steel doesn't care if it's turned into the engine block of a Bentley or a Buick. But people, given the option, will naturally opt for more prestigious careers if they are available. Turchin's work effectively argues that roles in all societies form something of a hierarchy with fewer actual people required to do the jobs further up the pyramid. We
Yeah.
need a lot more tradesmen, nurses, teachers, and laborers than we need
Of which we do not have enough right now.
so-called elite roles like corporate executives. By their nature, these roles only exist to watch over the work of dozens of other people. But for a variety of reasons,
Most
too many
people
people
go
have been
for
directed
this.
into getting qualified for these roles up here and discouraged from doing these roles down here.
Yeah.
This is how you end up in a system where everybody is qualified to deliver a stakeholder engagement deck to synergistically blitzscale a business-to-business platform for ingesting marketing survey data from the cloud. But you can't find anybody to fix your plumbing.
Yeah.
We've simply trained too many people to fill too many elite roles, and not enough people fill the everyday roles of
Of which we don't have that many that, need someone. We don't have that many elite roles.
society. This has cost us a lot in more ways than you might realize, and the first is just the cost. I know that you are all well aware of the cost of attending college, but there is more to it than just the student debt that you are going to take on to land your first job in the cubicle farm. If everyone gets a college degree which qualifies them for a prestigious job, then those qualifications aren't special anymore. According to data from the US Census Bureau and compiled by Statista, the number of Americans with a college degree has increased from 7.7% of the population in 1960 to 37.7% today, an almost six-fold increase. The remaining 62.3% of the population are not all going to be blue-collar workers either. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, only 62.6% of Americans work at all, so more than half of the workforce holds a degree. A degree is not enough to stand out anymore.
Yeah,
It's
everyone
barely
has
enough
one.
to land a job
Useless.
at all, so people are getting more degrees to prove they are worthy of an elite role. The price of a college degree has gone up and its value has gone down, but people are still willing to take on life-altering amounts of student debt to get them so they can access a job that is prestigious. The ironic thing is that many blue-collar trade jobs actually pay much better than even mid-level corporate roles, because there is a shortage of these non-elite workers, so they have much more to go.
Yeah, it's simple laws of the market, or like a free market. There's the supply and demand. There is oversupply of low demand roles and undersupply of high demand roles.
Negotiating power
That's
in the
simple.
real market than a history PhD applying for a research role. Sorry, Sam, from How History Works. Despite this, most people still agree that someone sitting behind a desk is more elite than someone working with their hands. So, given the choice, they would rather work in an office. You knew all of this already. Colleges have been pumping out graduates for decades now, but what is interesting is what happens to the people that are left over. Eventually, there are only so many roles that can be done in a suit and tie in a nice office, which means some of these elite qualified individuals will be left behind to work jobs that they are completely overqualified for. Underemployment is already a major issue in America. Highly paper-qualified people are working casual jobs with bad pay and fewer benefits because they don't want to get a blue-collar job because that would be admitting that their expensive degree was useless. Turchin, in his book End Times, has likened the glut of people who are too qualified for the job to the accumulation of dead wood in a forest. It doesn't do anything by itself, but if anything goes wrong, it will cause a cataclysmic fire. I will leave a link to his book in the description below. If you like depressing videos like this, it's definitely worth the read. Turchin has likened our current period of elite overproduction with the late Roman Empire, the French Wars of Religion, and various Chinese dynasties. But America and the rest of the Western world has had one sneaky advantage over these other low-energy empires. We have taken all of these non-elite jobs that we didn't want to do and outsourced them overseas. For a while, it let more of us work in jobs that we could brag about on LinkedIn, but that strategy may have come with some serious side effects. So it's time to learn how money works to find out what happens now that we have too many people that are literally too good for their job. This week's video is sponsored by Manta Sleep. Manta Sleep is on a mission to enable better lives through better sleep and naps, and makes the world's best sleep masks and function sleep accessories. I've gotten both the Manta Sleep Mask Pro and the Manta Sleep Mask Sound, and I didn't put a lot of stock in sleep masks until I tried these. The Sleep Mask Pro offers C-shaped eye cups for a 100% blackout deeper sleep, and ventilation for breathability. The Sleep Mask Sound has everything that the Pro has, but with headphones that allow you to listen to calming music to help you sleep. And my favorite, Manta Sleep is leading a pro nap movement, rejecting the corporate BS of waiting around pretending you're working when you could be re-energizing for when you actually need to do something important, by sleeping. Start improving your sleep today with Manta, and use my link in the description and code HOWMONEYWORKS for 10% off your order. Start prioritizing one of the most important things in your life with Manta Sleep. One of the less serious impacts of a system that has too many people qualified for too few elite jobs is title inflation. If you can't find a senior role for everybody with an MBA from the University of Phoenix, then you have to give them a fancy-sounding title. Salesmen are now account executives, receptionists are now directors of first impressions, and marketers are brand presidents. Job title inflation like this sounds extremely dumb, until you realize that it works.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I don't give a fuck about that, but yeah. Pretty much at every job I had, I was called some bullshit fucking name. Like a ground operations agent at an airport. I was just loading and unloading the planes. So fucking dumb.
Workers would give up a pay raise to get a job with a better sounding title, with some foregoing as much as $10,000 to take a role that sounds more senior. This study is very old now, but one look at LinkedIn will show you that it hasn't gotten much better. Now, while it's fun to laugh at goobers on LinkedIn, the problems of elite overproduction as outlined by Turchin manifests in other areas as well. As more people become qualified and expect to fill glamorous corporate roles, it creates a political pressure to make sure that people get those roles. The anthropologist David Graeber spoke about his role of the box tickers in his infamous book Bullshit Jobs. These were roles that only existed to satisfy some arbitrary requirements overseen by other box tickers to give the appearance that something useful was being done. The best way to create these jobs is through laws and programs that mandate them. I made a video last year about the homelessness crisis in America and why despite spending billions of dollars on it, we are only making it worse. One of the problems is that there were thousands of jobs being created in various local, state, and federal government departments alongside nonprofits that paid workers very well. With so many elite jobs on offer, there is no real incentive to fix the problem, because for the individuals running the programs, they would have to find a new job. And for the politicians approving the budget, they would have to explain why thousands of professional jobs went missing under their administration. Now, I just wanted to shamelessly mention my old video, but it's by no means limited to this one problem. Millions of people across America are employed in some kind of compliance role with a private company. Some of these roles are incredibly important, some less so. But if compliance standards are dropped, then the politician who passed that law would have a lot of potential voters angry that they made their job irrelevant. Now, so far, it all sounds like the blame of elite overproduction ultimately falls on the people who thought they were too good for a real job and felt entitled to an elite position just because they got a communications degree. That is not entirely unfair, and there does need to be a level of personal accountability for your own personal decisions. But we have made it incredibly easy to follow the path of least resistance into the pile of college graduates. Striving for an elite job has also become a necessity in many parts of the country. If you want to live a comfortable version of the American dream in most cities across the country these days, you need to have an extremely good job. More than a third of Americans earning $250,000 per year are still living paycheck to paycheck because the places where they can access these elite jobs are ludicrously expensive. The study unsurprisingly found that budget stress was far higher amongst younger earners because the only consistent way for them to earn that much money was to get an elite job in an elite city. Blue-collar work can make a lot more than entry-level corporate roles, but unless you can successfully start your own business, the ceiling on how much you can earn in these roles is much lower. In areas away from expensive cities, that's okay. But if you grew up in a major city and you want to keep living there, then you kind of have to play the game of fighting for an elite job by working your way up the corporate ladder, or fighting through ultra-competitive internships. If you are successful, congratulations. You can buy a Tesla Model 3 and rent a one-bedroom apartment in Seattle. But if you are not, then you can contribute to the biggest problem that Turchin discusses in his writing. People who have invested a significant amount of money, not to mention years of their life into pursuing a role that they were told they were entitled to, breeds a lot of discontent when they end up underemployed. These people who, fairly rightfully, feel scammed out of what they were told was a guarantee are now a significant voting bloc. That's created political pressure to not only maintain as many of these nonsense jobs as possible, but also to pursue student debt relief, advanced education subsidies, and retraining initiatives.
Which is crazy.
It might fix a lot of
Student
problems,
debt
but
relief.
there's no getting around the fact that it's not
They're just
exactly
helping
fair to people
retards.
who have already paid off their debt or never took them on in the first place because they didn't pursue an elite career path. Now, this is not to say that these are good or bad ideas. It's only to say that they wouldn't even be considered if there weren't so many people that had become trapped as an overproduced elite. Enough people to make this politically viable. Unfortunately, as the great DJ Khaled would say, we have played ourselves to get here in the first place. Beyond the expense and tensions caused by having so many people qualified to do roles that are inherently rare, we have forgotten how to do the foundational stuff. America's housing crisis is in part being accelerated by the cost to build new homes, because we don't have enough tradesmen to keep up with the demand for new housing. The fact that housing is so expensive only makes this problem worse, because people see that the only way they will ever be able to afford a home of their own is to compete for an elite role with every other hopeful graduate. So why not just stick with a tech job building a future of AI-powered robotics that will automate home building with 3D printers in eco-houses? Well, those tech jobs aren't exactly the model of stability either. Google's
Yeah,
parent
they go
company
bust all
Alphabet
the time.
recently announced that they would be cutting 12,000 jobs globally. Microsoft has already laid off 10,000 workers, and Amazon is getting rid of 18,000 workers in the largest job cut the company has ever had in its 29-year history. And those are just the companies that are
It's
doing
crazy.
well. Facebook is laying off 13% of its workforce because their big play on the metaverse has failed to excite investors. And then there is Twitter, which laid off half of its workforce and then hired some of them back and then fired them again. Times are tough for businesses, and executives are being pressured by investors to make cuts wherever they can. The easiest and quickest way for businesses to save on expenses is to cut out new projects and lay off the staff working on them.
I'm responsible for the health of our company, for our direction.
There are 3 reasons that tech companies in particular hire so many people, and 3 reasons why they fire so many people just as quickly. The first reason that they had so many employees to begin with is because the largest employers in the tech space have been on a diversification spree. The largest tech companies, with the exception of Amazon, which employs a large amount of workers in its distribution centers, can run with much smaller crews than they currently do. Software is highly scalable. A single developer can produce an application that is downloadable by millions of people, which is impossible for any other type of
Which is how they
business.
started.
Compare a company like Meta to a company like Walmart, and the difference is clear. Walmart has a similar market cap, but employs 25 times as many staff, mostly in its stores and warehouses across the country. The only other industry that comes close to this is the pharmaceutical industry, with research and development teams that create medicines that can be mass-produced once they get through the FDA approval process. However, companies like Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, Amazon, and Apple have all hired a lot of extra staff that they don't need to run their business. Diversification has been the business motivation for this unorthodox approach of paying for too many staff. The biggest tech companies in the world are running into the problem of simply not having enough people in the world left to offer their services to. Meta's stock price is currently down more than 50% from its all-time high just 18 months ago. The sell-off began when the company announced for the first time ever that it had lost more users than it had gained in the trailing quarter. Facebook is the most used social media network in the world, with 2.96 billion active users as of the 4th quarter of 2022. But now anybody that wants a Facebook account has one, and anybody else either doesn't have access to the internet, lives in a country where Facebook is not available,
Or
or is
doesn't give a
simply not
fuck.
interested in joining
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg's online social club. The growth of any company depends on being able to achieve one of 3 things. 1. Sell their products to more customers. 2. Charge their
Bro,
customers more for the same
the
products.
line
3.
must
Sell
go
a
up.
wider variety of products to existing customers. For the last 19 years, Facebook's strategy was to supply their social media platform to more people. But since that is no longer possible, they are shifting their focus to the other 2 growth paths. Facebook's customers are not actually its users. Their customers are their advertisers. The product they are selling is the attention of their users and information on how to best market to them. Facebook tried option 2, charging their customers, the advertisers, more for the same product, a user base to advertise to, by collecting more information about their users so that companies could more effectively run ad campaigns. This helped Facebook's advertising revenue grow steadily, since this information could be publicly tracked. New consumer privacy protection, data storage laws, and advertising standards have stopped Facebook from being able to take this platform any further, and the company is currently at the peak of what it can charge companies to run ads on its platform. So Meta has also pursued option 3, creating a wider variety of products to sell. Meta has acquired other social media platforms like Instagram and the messaging service WhatsApp to appeal to different audiences and to different advertisers. Buying these companies involved effectively hiring more staff that were working for these companies pre-acquisition. Some were instantly made redundant as the responsibilities overlapped with existing Facebook teams, but having more products still requires more employees.
What do you think about that number, 11,000 people from Facebook?
Yeah, it's a really large number. It's tough to comprehend. It's a lot of people. Tech's tanking a little bit.
Insane.
It's moving on.
Meta has also been trying to grow its range of product offerings by developing new social media platforms like the Metaverse internally. The Metaverse has been a multi-billion-dollar investment that involved hiring thousands of talented developers and engineers to build a unique but so far unsuccessful alternative to living in the real world. Meta is not the only company that is constantly trying to diversify what they do. Google has dozens of programs working at any given time that take teams of thousands of engineers to work on, and a lot of them won't ever be brought to market. It's an expensive strategy, but a company like Google that just started out as a search engine now has Google Docs, Google Mail, Google-powered computers, and YouTube, all which give the company alternative revenue streams and allow its continued growth even after everybody in the world was already using Google Search. Other tech companies have similar side projects like AI, which is an especially popular product right now, that a lot of companies are racing to commercialize, but they all require more employees. So if reason number
And
1
they all
why tech
fail at
companies
it.
hire so much is because they need the products to continue growing, then reason number 1 why they fire so much is because they can. During financial downturns, their existing customers are not going to be spending as much with them, and some might cut off their business entirely. For companies that depend on running ads, they will have less money coming in from advertisers as marketing budgets get slashed to save costs. Companies like Netflix that provide a subscription model will also have reduced revenues as customers try to save money by canceling subscriptions. If the companies grow by selling their products to more customers, charging more, or selling more products, but they are actually losing customers, there is no point of launching a new product if they can't even sell the existing products, so they have to change strategies. There is another way that companies can provide more value to their shareholders without growing, and that's by cutting costs. If growth is not going to be possible in current market conditions, then there is no
And thus we have an shittification.
point in investing so heavily into growth-focused projects. Instead, companies can cancel the least hopeful of these projects and reduce costs.
Because of this, even though the growth is there, the growth is not very much exponentially increasing. It is almost stagnant, and because of that, more and more layoffs will basically happen.
Tech companies don't have as many employees as other companies, but they are, on average, paid higher salaries, and the projects they are assigned to have additional overhead as well, making cutting employees just as effective as a cost-cutting tool. Most of the layoffs are happening in project roles outside of the day-to-day operations of these companies' existing big-ticket products. Even though some of these projects weren't promising to begin with, reason number 2 why tech companies hire so much is why they kept them going. The largest tech companies are in the monopoly business. If you want to search the internet, you use Google. If you want to watch videos on the internet, you use YouTube. Shopping online is dominated by Amazon, and Netflix's future is uncertain because it failed to monopolize the paid home video streaming market. These companies make billions because they monopolize important services. Unfortunately, monopolies are illegal, and there are very clear rules around what they are not allowed to do to prevent competitors from entering the market. Antitrust laws have been leveled against most major tech companies in the past, resulting in settlements that required them to pay large fines and sell off portions of their business to maintain competition. One tool that companies still have to defend themselves from competition is to hire up all of the talent that can go and work for a startup in the same industry. Tech salaries and bonuses are very high because existing companies need to keep their employees from joining startups that could make the employees very rich through stock options, which is a great outcome for the employee, but a terrible outcome for the existing business that can no longer profit off its monopoly position. Most large tech companies also include non-compete agreements into the employment contracts of their employees. Non-competes are created to protect companies that invest into research and development of new technology from having any progress they make taken by an employee that goes to work for a competing company or a new company that they start themselves.
Yeah, but it's
Businesses
bullshit.
argue that without being able to enforce non-compete agreements, it wouldn't be feasible for them to invest into developing new technologies because they could just be taken by competitors, making them bear the R&D cost with no commercial advantage. The Federal Trade Commission disagrees and has been proposing laws to ban non-compete clauses in employee contracts. The FTC argues that these clauses are often applied to low-level employees like retail staff and baristas that don't work with any commercially sensitive or proprietary information. The FTC also argues that these clauses give unwarranted power to employers, because there are workers that won't be able to find work if they leave their jobs, and they also can't seek alternative offers as leverage to ask for higher compensation in their current role. In its proposal, the FTC estimates that banning non-competes will increase workers' earnings by $300 billion annually, save consumers $148 billion annually on health costs, and the one that makes tech companies really scared is that the FTC estimates that banning non-compete agreements would double the number of companies in the same industries founded by former workers.
When you're talking about executives and engineers and tech workers, for example, or those in finance, what we've seen is that these types of restrictions are basically depriving the market of new ideas and of innovation. Because people are locked in, they can't go start even a competing business.
The best way to start a business in any industry is to get experience in that industry by working for someone else first. Non-competes make it hard for businesses to get started this way, which is exactly why tech companies like to employ as many people as they can. And while they have them, they may as well put them to work on projects that may be the future of technology, or maybe the first thing to get cut as soon as investors complain about the stock price going down. Reason number 2 that tech companies fire so many people is that they know it's going to be much harder for new companies to get established in bad market conditions because there won't be as many investors putting money behind risky new projects. Since there is no risk of new competition getting started, they don't need to hoard talent, and they can cut expenses without fear of it coming back to hurt them. Reason number 3, the final reason why tech companies fire so quickly is because everybody else is doing it, and getting new talent just becomes a lot cheaper and easier. Hiring a developer 12 months ago was very expensive and difficult. Skilled programmers were interviewing companies to see if they would be a good fit for them, not the other way around. When attracting talent was so difficult, it made sense to hold on to the employees the company already held. Since there are now 50,000 recently laid off workers in the job market, tech companies know they can find new people, so they finally have the opportunity to get rid of their underperformers. Reason number 3 that tech companies had so many of these employees to begin with is just plain bad management. As companies get bigger, more people are needed to maintain services, more managers are needed to coordinate more teams, and things like building management go from being passive-aggressive notes on the lunchroom fridge to entire departments.
I think a lot of these companies were not quick enough to act. Now you're starting to see them rip the Band-Aid off.
Streamlining corporate structures is a difficult task, and in any company with enough employees, there's always going to be a job that is totally useless. The only problem is, the workers doing this pointless tasks are normally the last ones to be fired during times like these.
That's an abrupt end. I couldn't agree more. Let's do this.
Just $3.50 for a 240-watt charge cable with a beautiful LCD screen. What a bargain, or is it? Looking closer, what the heck is this? It's a sticker, a crappy printed piece of paper that's just stuck on.
Nice shit. That's not what I wanted. Oh yeah, this one. CPS drowned.
This submarine Peter is holding right now isn't made for any normal lake or ocean. It's made specifically for frozen alpine lakes. It's packed with the newest advanced sensors and technology with the only purpose of swimming under the ice and measuring the ice thickness from underneath. So my question is, why on earth is a submarine needed for that? I thought you just need a drill like this, go through and measure with a tape or something. Maybe a submarine can do it without even drilling the ice? But if so, how does the sub even locate itself down there? We'll show you exactly how it's built, but if it's so high-tech, who tricked us into digging ice holes for 8 hours straight at 3,000 meters above sea level in the Swiss Alps?
And well, here's the story.
Well, to understand why this submarine is so important, we need to start from the very beginning and move to the other part of the Swiss Alps. St. Moritz. In 1907, the Swiss people of St. Moritz organized a new form of horse racing, ski joring. It took place on their frozen lake. They organized it every winter, and after 21 years it became so popular that they hosted Olympics with horse racing on ice. However, they also realized that there are risks involved. Relatively frequently, the horses fell and even died. For example, in 2017 in St. Moritz, there was a crack in the ice, invisible from above, which turned the track into slush. The horses running at top speed fell into it, and unfortunately did not survive. You see, it's often not that simple to gauge the thickness of the ice on the lake. 100 years ago, basically the only option people had was to dig through the ice in multiple spots throughout the entire St. Moritz lake. But it's not perfect. For that, you'd need hundreds of measurements, which takes too much time to collect. So
and
after
destroys the
100
ice.
years of technology advancements, Swiss people are in search of a solution. As some of you know, me and Peter started building an autonomous submarine over a year ago and posted a YouTube video showing our build. After that, I received an email from an engineering student at ETH Zurich. They had an idea. What if we don't measure ice from above, but below, with a submarine similar to ours? I got really intrigued, of course, so we tried to help them on a call and follow their progress. Surprisingly, after just 5 months, they have already built what we're about to see today. Now, to investigate further and learn how exactly the submarine works, we will join them on their first real mission. The goal is to create an ice thickness map of a lake. We just need to travel about 1,300 kilometers to meet our new...
Wait.
We will join them on their first real mission. The goal is to create an ice thickness map of a lake. We just need...
That's where I live. Where was his submarine? Oh yeah, that looks very Baltic-y.
Technology advancements, Swiss people are in search of a solution. As some of you know,
That's Gdynia. This is my city.
me and Peter started building an autonomous submarine over a year ago and posted a YouTube video showing our build. After that, I received an email saying we have already established a map of a lake. We just need to travel about 1,300 kilometers to meet our new friends in Switzerland. So we got on a plane.
In all honesty, this is kind of hardcore to climb there.
We could finally meet the person behind it all.
How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's really early in the morning. Yeah. This is Richard Rudin, one of the people responsible for this project, and also the student who wrote to us initially.
How many of you are there in the group?
10 of us that are working like full-time on the project.
Full-time?
Yeah,
I mean
full-time.
8 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
It's taken over our life.
I underestimated the amount of effort, I guess.
They called it Polaris. It's my first time in Switzerland.
What, you're going to Zermatt?
Yeah. Immediately. They were about to start the mission, but to be honest, we still don't entirely know what makes the submarine better than other methods. So what's the issue with measuring ice?
Just as an example, in St. Moritz, where we have like hundreds of people on the ice, we have horse racing, we have car racing, all of that. We looked at a map of like ice thickness measurements, and they only had like 2 dozen.
Do you think drilling holes is like more time consuming?
It is. It is very time consuming, and they usually have to send out firemen, like firefighters, out onto the lake to do it because it's also unsafe if you don't know how thick the lake is. Like you can make a hole here and then see, okay, it's 30 centimeters, but then you walk further in and localized, it might be very different. We built our system for even when we have ice flows, you could still measure it. And if you have
What
ice
is
flows,
ice flows?
that's like the stuff, like an iceberg.
Okay, so why is that a problem to measure the ice thickness from the top?
You cannot.
How would you get there?
How would you get there?
Oh, how would I get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We already verified that our ice thickness sensor, we verified it in the Lake of St. Moritz, where the ice sheet was 50 centimeters thick, and it worked perfectly there.
Wow, wow, okay.
So that's great. But
okay, so because I think that when we talked for the first time, you said something about a sonar or like an ultrasonic sensor or whatever.
This is the thing we don't understand yet. What kind of sensor is this, and how does it measure ice thickness? In order to see for ourselves, we need to transport everything to a lake.
And it was like summer yesterday.
Yep.
This is Theodul Gletschersee. We're right on Matterhorn, which is that famous, super dangerous mountain. We needed to get to 3,000 meters above sea level because it's already late enough in the year and none of the lakes in the valleys are frozen. In order to get the submarine under the ice, we of course need to make a hole, but theoretically just one. It should take just a moment. But meanwhile, we were finally able to see the submarine itself.
Nice. Wow, it's bigger than I expected.
Right away, Richard started explaining the ice measuring sensors.
So this is just a weak transducer, okay? This is our sonar, so the very strong transducer. Right.
So this is how the sonar works. It sends sound waves up into the ice. Then some of them bounce back immediately, but some go through and bounce from here, where the ice and air intersect. Now there are two sounds coming back to the microphone with a delay between them. And from the time difference, it's theoretically possible to calculate the ice thickness.
Yeah.
The Polaris team had tested this method already and got some promising results. But here's the thing, they're not certain whether it will work during the real mission. We'll see that in a bit. Now the sonar can't work by itself, of course. It somehow needs to move underwater exactly how they need it to. So that's what they spend the majority of their work on.
This is our main computing unit, it's a Jetson GX, yeah. Here's our batteries. They have like double the capacity of what we had before. Cool.
So I like this train relief. This is a very cool idea.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And you have a nice tray, you see? Is it cement?
It's
cement. You
Ah.
can look at from here. You can actually see it's cement.
Oh, nice. Okay. This solution is pretty clever because it's really easy to adjust the center of gravity. How many motors are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And so 6 degrees of freedom. 6 motors make the sub very maneuverable. It can move in all axes, which is very useful in this case. What's this?
This is just to keep the weight balance, like the buoyancy balance right now.
Nice. It's a rock for balance.
We're using a rock.
Yeah, we
A calibrated rock.
Nice. Yeah.
The rock is just a placeholder for this localization beacon, which has to do with an underwater antenna. We'll talk more about it later when the drone is in the water. Now the Polaris team had to set up all of their gear. They have a lot of gear.
Then
That's a fun computer. You know how much it costs?
Like 5,000, I think. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Ah, it's built into the box. Wow. This is their portable command center, from which they'll steer everything. Now we should be ready to put the sub into the hole, but something is not going as expected. Maxi, with the chainsaw, couldn't get all the way through, probably because his tool was too short. Now we didn't come all the way here to bail, so Peter and Richard got some more long, heavy tools from the station.
But you can actually see the second ice sheet, and we've actually broken through. Okay, it's pretty good.
Have you made any ice holes before like this?
No, but I like this one.
It's challenging.
It's a very manly challenge.
Yeah. Typically on other lakes we wouldn't need to make a hole, but it was so cold here that we couldn't find any inlet.
Huh.
Do you think it's the other ice layer?
Yeah, I think so.
I've never heard of it, but it turns out there can be multiple ice layers on one lake. This makes us question whether the sonar will actually work. It's supposedly common in alpine lakes, where the weather conditions are very variable. When the top of the lake is frozen and a thick layer of snow falls, the ice gets pushed down. When the temperature drops again, it freezes the upper snow, leaving slush in between.
I think yeah, this is my best work here.
After a whole lot of efforts and tries, it turned out that there was a third ice layer even deeper, which we couldn't get through no matter what.
So I'm not sure if we broke through.
Nah, it's insane.
Honestly, I don't know.
But I think we might have figured out something else. Is that there's another lake close by?
Yeah, very close by, one station down.
Okay, so we decided to move, because the ice here is too thick, which is ironic.
Yeah, that's news, definitely.
Here, so
I had
this
no
is
fucking
our
idea.
last hope. This is Schwarzsee. It's a couple hundred meters lower, so
Oh,
it should be slightly
black.
warmer and therefore easier to get through the ice. Yeah, it seems better.
Okay, what's up? We just broke through the ice, and I'm confident we can get through the second layer as well.
So we kept digging for another 3 hours. Peter had to rescue our tool. And by then we are almost ready with the hull. We just need to see how deep is it and check the conditions underneath the ice. This is our upgraded CPS-3 and we'll see how the underneath the ice looks like with this.
Oh yeah, I see the bottom. That's how it looks like. Oh yeah, this is the bottom. There's a lot of like algae here and stuff. Let's see the top. Yeah, so this is the the bottom.
You're quite far now.
Oh, there's a fish. There's a fish? Yeah.
It seems like it's more or less the same height everywhere throughout.
Yeah.
Because then we have no issues.
If you also happen to have an alpine lake in your backyard, or any lake for that matter, you can build your own underwater drone and assemble CPS-3 yourself, just like Jost did in February this year. He used components from our kit, and while doing so he even modified the remote with a 3D print. He shared that on our Discord. After a few adjustments in his bathtub, he made the drone neutrally buoyant and could go to a lake to find some hidden wildlife. Recently, he even attended a festival showcasing his build. So if you'd like to build an underwater drone yourself, for a limited time we're giving a completely free full instruction manual with design files, code and everything. So after watching this video, sign up and get all instructions with the link in the description. Again, it's free, and if you decide to build it, you can get a DIY kit from us with all the components you need already in the
15
box.
centimeters.
So the lake
Yeah, I
seems
mean, it's not the
promising,
most
but
clear.
it was already quite
What
late.
can you do?
We need to wake up early tomorrow if we want the entire mission to work out in just one day.
It's 4:40 and we're awake because we need to get to the Matterhorn extremely early.
So early morning we traveled back to our mission site. It's the next day,
Next dollar.
and we are here. And it looks like the hole is still here. And the tent is here.
Plan for now is to put the sub in the water. We're just gonna drive around, make sure everything works at first.
Oh, this is your plan for the mission?
Yeah. In theory, we would do the 100 times 100 meter grid.
But starting with 10 by 10?
Yeah, like the goal first is like to just do a whole drive.
The plan is simple. After we make sure everything works, we'll make a 10 by 10 meter square mission with 4 ice thickness measurements. And if that works, a 30 by 30 meter mission with 16 waypoints. In order to check if the submarine can find itself accurately underwater, we can even make a second hull and check if the sub emerges after we attempted to swim in a straight line.
First waypoint there.
Thankfully, Maxi just bought a new, much longer chainsaw to do that. Great, it's time to submerge the drone in the Alpine Lake. The drone weighs about 30 kilograms, so it's a bit heavier than anything we've ever built.
Okay.
Slightly positively buoyant, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Wow.
And now you synchronize all the GPSs, I guess, all the location systems. Let's see how it looks like in the command center.
The location? You can see that here.
Oh, nice. Depth 18 centimeters. And you'll be steering the drone, or?
I can.
This?
Yeah.
Let's swim with the drone now.
Is this the correct direction?
Well, we have an issue. As you can see, the localization data from our two sources is completely opposite. That means we have to somehow synchronize it. It will be crucial for knowing where exactly we make our ice measurements. But what exactly happens? And since everything is underwater, how does it work exactly? After all, we can't see it. The submarine has a very precise GPS RTK module. But as you probably know, GPS shouldn't work underwater. Well, Polaris have figured out that this big cylinder with air around the GPS can help a lot.
Well, the GPS with RTK, real-time kinematic, that's the most accurate positional fix you could get. So we put it in there, the GPS takes the first reference and we know exactly where the sub is, up to like 1.4 centimeters accuracy.
You can see here, GPS is at the moment 1.4 centimeter in horizontal accuracy.
That's super accurate then. And
Yeah.
So you put it on the very top, so that you said you can touch the ice, and then you found out that if you touch the ice, it can still work, even though it's underwater. Turns out that if you turn
Adding nuclear
liquid
ballistic
water
missiles
into solid
to it
water,
would be better.
ice,
Yeah, some
the
ICBMs.
wave suddenly can travel much further and penetrate even a thick layer of ice. If we encase the GPS in a large air tank and then touch the ice from underneath, it's almost as if the GPS is on the surface. And it's a very large container, so that there's a lot of air around the GPS.
In nautical terms, it's called a radome. You can
Radome?
see those on ships and on airplanes. And what they do is they keep water away from the GPS antennas, so they don't interfere with the signals.
But this solution has also its shortcomings.
I'm checking right now if I'm getting GPS at the ice. GPS worked. We had like not the best accuracy. It was an accuracy of 2.5 meter peak.
While swimming, we can't always reliably touch the ice from underneath. Therefore, we'll need something that works for all depths. That's why SBL exists. Stands for short baseline. Now, underwater navigation is generally extremely hard, because as you know, radio waves don't penetrate
Yeah,
liquid
water is dense.
Even your phone disconnects immediately when submerged. But thankfully, there's this thing called sound. Maybe you heard of it.
It depends on like in which angle these transducers like also receive this wave, and you can see like from which angle you now got it.
If you have 3 microphones and something gets very loud underwater, you can see which microphone got the audio signal first. You can also see how long did it take to reach the next microphone, and then the third. And because we know the speed of sound, we can triangulate the location.
Yeah.
My understanding was that you need to have these microphones pretty far apart.
There are 3 systems and they all work very similarly. One is long baseline, these can be kilometers apart. Then the SBL short baseline system where it's only like meters apart, if even. And then there's the ultra short baseline, USBL, which is really small. It's just basically one big transducer.
Turns out the microphones don't need to be that far apart, and that's where this antenna comes in. As you can see, there are 3 hydrophones on 3 of its ends. There's one beacon on the submarine which emits these sound waves.
And do you know the accuracy of this one?
Yeah, it's about 1 to 2 meters in our case.
SBL isn't perfect when it comes to accuracy, but combined with occasional GPS readings, it's overall very accurate. From our previous videos, you might remember that there's also a third one.
Yeah, kinda. They just use sound, although sonar works by sending the signal reflecting, coming back to you, and you measure the distance and the time by which you know the bearing and distance from the target. Whereas what they do is different. They have the submarine produce sound, and then they have 3 microphones that essentially work like an antenna that pick that sound up. So the antenna knows where the submarine is, and the antenna, since it's on the surface, knows very precisely where it is. So you add one location to the vector of the sound, and you have the location of the submarine.
Get location, and that's through a DVL that sends sound waves into the lake bottom. But for now, Polar is focused on these other methods. We'll talk more about DVLs in the next video. Meanwhile, the second hole is almost ready.
Okay, these ice blocks look very impressive. Yeah? You think it's big enough?
Yeah, it's big enough.
After some minor calibration issues and fixing it with a compass, let's see if the navigation works now. The 2-hole drive. The submarine needs to swim in relatively straight line to reveal itself in the second hole 10 meters apart. Then in reverse back to the first one.
Let's go. Oh, it seems to be in the same direction now.
This is why we have yellow prints and not black prints.
Yeah, that's useful. It's here.
Nice.
And coming back. It's to the right.
Nog niet zu mir, gut, stopp, hinderen. Achtung, macht sie das Sache.
Seems successful, moderately successful. It went back almost to the same spot.
When you said like to the right, I saw on the map I was also shifted to the right.
The map was super accurate.
Look at that path. You can see like after the filtering how much cleaner it is than like with the...
Yeah, it looks extremely smooth.
With this, we are ready for the grid test with the ice thickness measurements, the thing we are all here for. It's a 10 by 10 meter square for now.
Let's go for the square.
The debug took a lot of time, and some of us were pretty tired at this point.
Peter, I know you're tired, but they're going for the square now.
Dora?
You need to see this.
I need to see this?
Yes.
Right.
Now we go from the first hole to the second, and then turn right towards 2 more waypoints.
Let's go.
Let's go.
The purple dots are the constant SBL readings, which allow us to precisely go to the waypoints.
Yeah, we can try to go further down.
I see it. It's here. Yes, yes. Yep.
And I'll do another right turn, so...
So it's somewhere here. We don't know where.
It's finally time to measure the ice here. But we have an issue. Even though the method using the sonar seemed promising earlier, now there's too much noise in the signal, and we can't really make out useful data. Some military researchers seem to be developing this technology, but it's extremely difficult to make it reliable. Therefore, here Polaris are using a slightly simpler method. Instead of looking at both reflections, we look at only the first ping. From the delay, we know the distance from the sub to the bottom of the ice sheet. If we could get a distance from the submarine to the top of the ice sheet, we could subtract the two and get its thickness. Thankfully, there exist those very simple sensors that can read hydrostatic pressure. From the pressure you get the depth, and since the density of the ice is slightly smaller than water, it always flows on top, so we can get the distance to the top. But now with a depth sensor, we have an even simpler way to do it. Just ram into the ice and measure the depth, keeping in mind that we also have to subtract the height of the submarine. That's why Polaris is using both of these simpler methods, and at each waypoint they swim up and touch the ice.
Where's the ice detection?
There's a Google value over there.
Oh,
false.
Going to the 4th waypoint, so there.
And now we go another 90 degrees.
And now we're coming back. Almost there?
Yes.
That was the first real Polaris mission, and with that, another day has passed.
That's it.
Me and Peter had to travel back, but meanwhile Polaris went back and on their last day here performed the bigger mission. After some post-processing, they got this map. On the right here, we can see the scale of how thick the ice is, which is represented by the gradient on the map. This one was created with only pressure sensor measurements, and this one done with the sonar has a bit more resolution. So, is an ice measuring submarine better than a traditional method? Well, on one hand it's pretty accurate, and once the sub is in the water, they could survey the ice pretty quick. On the other hand, with the current sonar methods, we can't measure the thickness of the top ice layer alone. It may be possible using the methods with multiple sonar reflections, but needs a lot of noise reduction. Also, ever since Polaris is working hard on making the drone autonomous. Here's one of the missions they've done since. Their next under ice mission will happen next winter, so keep your fingers crossed and subscribe.
Also, right now we're still working on making our CPS-3 drone even better. So right now we've released a couple of upgrades, like for example an underwater gripper that you've seen in this video, some stronger underwater lights, and we're working on many more.
Yes, so if you ever wanted to build one of our projects, I think this is the best way to do that. All the models, instructions, and programs are for free. And if you like it, you can get an assembly kit from us as well.
The link is in the description, so check it out.
See you in the next video!
Right.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. For this challenge, you are going to build a kite from scratch. One by one, you may go up to the table and select 5 items. Then go to the workbench with your name on it. That's the hardest part, honestly, these badly behaved contestants. You will have 20 minutes to build your kite. The best flight wins. Your time starts now. Wait.
Oh, look at that.
Ah, fuck.
I thought it was a punishment wheel. Watch it.
I swear
If
to
it's
God,
Jabril, I'll be angry.
Nigel!
It appears that there's not many good kite-making materials out
Almost
there.
none.
Yeah.
Yeah. String with a handle, a sonic table cover. The rest of it's kind of useless, no?
He went first. That's what he wants.
Nice.
It's all bad. I'm just gonna take the rest of the string. Jerk.
Michael.
Hey,
Michael.
I got paratroopers, I got balloons, I got freaking string. Dude, there's fucking nothing left.
Yeah.
I feel like there wasn't even really that much for you. My enrichment toy. Okay.
Oh, Sheriff's choice. Emily.
What? Uh-oh. Jabril's gonna be last.
We got 2 bags, a book of paper with Captain America on it, the pretty looking stuff, and
Great time to mow.
Yeah.
All right, my turn.
Yeah.
Pretty floppy. Oh yeah, I want this thing. I'll take these 5 items. Yeah. Okay.
These choices are your
Fire
favorite choices?
pyro.
Terrible choices.
I got the popcorn. I got the baby shark coloring book. I got this purple stuff, some skewers, and a t-shirt.
Let her rip.
Oh my god.
Alright, you can go. You can
No,
go.
I want to feel included.
Okay.
Oh, share choice.
Oh, Kevin, you want to go again?
I got Spider-Man bag. This looks pretty, I guess, and I got a buddy to help me talk through my pain.
Your time starts.
Yeah, he's fucked.
Swag.
You want to build one?
Kevin, can we make a trade?
What do you want to trade?
Can I have some string for some sticks?
3 sticks.
I got balloon.
3 sticks?
Yeah.
Okay. 3 sticks for 2 strings. What a deal.
You can't share those though.
Hey, does anybody want some good string?
No!
I'll trade you 1 string for like 2 of the red parachute guys.
I can't do parachute guys, dude.
Michael, I'll trade you strings.
Hey, we got 2 paratrooper guys. We got what do we got?
I'm offering a trade. Some thin string for some thick string.
You know, I can make that trade. I can make that trade. How much do you want? We're a 1-to-1 ratio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby shark, baby shark.
Kevin, if you get that in our heads throughout the rest of this challenge.
Also, we'll get demonetized.
It's kind of heavy. I don't really like the idea of that having
Yeah,
to
I did grab
fly.
too many weighted things for sure.
There's one part of a kite that I don't think a lot of them remember. You've got to have like the dangly bit off the back, I think.
What does that do?
Otherwise it just does spins in circles and it crashes. I think.
Oh.
The last time I've flown a kite was about 20 years ago though. Baby shark do 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 do, daddy shark do 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 do.
I'm going for a more an orthodox kind of approach.
Orthodox or unorthodox?
Yeah, unorthodox. Yeah, I'm looking to break stereotypes in the field of kite making.
What kind of stereotypes exist?
I mean, it's not often people make kites out of a garage sale sign.
Is that that's a stereotype? It more looks like you broke my table, not stereotype.
Well,
was it an accident?
yeah,
At least
it was an accident.
It was an accident.
I'm very sorry.
An accident, eh?
Bro, you want some popcorn?
I will trade you popcorn for a wrapper from the little spiral thing.
Never seen Paw Patrol. Can't vouch for Paw Patrol. Big Minions
I
fan.
was actually gonna grab this. I'm a little upset that you grabbed this, to be honest with you.
I'll share with you.
Give me your best Minions impersonation.
They go ba-na-na-na-na-na. They call it
Stop being so fucking difficult.
I spent a long time memorizing that, and then it got me nowhere in life.
No, I don't think that's true.
Oh, thank you.
Are things going well right now?
No, it's not.
For going last, you don't seem like you're that scared or worried. Do you have a good strategy going?
William,
Is this
forget.
Yeah.
Unlike these
You
other
only need
flunkies,
30 seconds.
I come here to play.
I have a question about the 30-second thing. Does that apply to everything in your life you only need 30 seconds? Or is that specifically to these challenges?
In some certain scenarios, I can only last 10 seconds.
Okay, but
Okay. We know what those are.
What?
But in most scenarios, I just need 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah. Did you do anything like this when you were a kid? I'm getting vibes.
I've never built a kite in my life.
Where did you get the extra sticks from? You didn't choose sticks.
I traded with Kevin.
I'd give you anything for a kiss. What do you want? Super glue?
I don't need anything.
A pre-built kite?
I would give anything to not have a kiss.
Pre-built kite.
I'll give away my string.
All I want to ask is whether he really needed that big hat to show his power. I mean, he always wears those in those competitions. It's fucking ridiculous. He wears it as a joke. He's just stupid.
Just making a big paper airplane. I don't think we have to make a kite, right?
I think Barry was explicitly
Best flight.
I think it said the best flight.
It's a radical interpretation of what a kite is.
Gonna do a little test.
That's actually pretty good. That is pretty good. If you put a string on it, I think it'll be hard to deny that that's a kite.
The problem is it said the best flight. So I don't know if these guys, what if there's not enough wind, number one, and what if these guys don't know how to fly? Holy shit, that's a really good kite.
I can't figure out how to put the strings on it.
Do you make more holes on accident?
I mean, look, we have such a short time.
Yeah, Nigel
time
had the best
period, it's like,
materials.
Things happen. I'm stressed. Sometimes I need to, relieve myself.
Oh, wasn't it? Wait, you
Well,
peed?
it's a mix of-
You pissed on the table?
I'm sorry.
I don't even need to ask you what the problem you're having right now is. I think
Do you
I can
like
see
it, though?
I do like it, yeah. It's giving me Christianity vibes. I don't know why. It's like weirdly
awesome,
religious.
Yeah, nothing flies higher than the soul of Christ.
You ever seen Evangelion? Where they treat people like tools. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yes, each is a sacrifice to our glory in God.
Are they like a living sacrifice, or are they already dead?
They are living.
It's like okay.
It will fly if it flies.
What's wrong?
I don't know. It just.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's one of the sentences of all time.
What was the point of the walkie-talkie? What's the plan of
I don't know. I thought maybe it would do something about something about
Where did you get a walkie-talkie?
He stole it from the police.
There's something seriously wrong with this design.
I don't know. Just see what happens.
I just. Oh.
All right. Any changes you think you would make to it?
What? Kevin's is working so well. No.
I think my kite's too heavy, and I'm thinking about making the wings wider. But I think that's just going to make it heavier, because I'm going to have to use this wood to support the extra wing, and that's going to make it heavier. So I don't think that just making it bigger is going to fix the problem. So maybe I have to start cutting off some wood that I don't need. Oh, it's a dangerous game.
5 minutes remaining.
Hey, Peter.
All right.
What's up, gamer?
Yo. All right. Did you see the picture I sent you?
Did you call Airplane Rain Man?
I called Airplane Rain Man.
To cheat.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Okay. You gonna fly that?
I'm gonna try to. What do you mean? Am I gonna fly that?
Make sure you put enough nose weight in it and you balance it and just throw it. It'll be fine.
Nose weight.
Videos after you throw it.
Okay, nose weight, balance it, and throw it. So that doesn't help me at all. He just says balance it. Like
Yeah, but that's like for a throwing plane, not a kite.
Wait, you're calling him too?
Check it out. No, I just need you to stamp my I need you to stamp my kite.
Oh, he needs just more hydrogen. Yeah!
I thought that was
Pretty hard to get though.
What change should I make?
And that is time. Get your grubby paws off your grubby kites. What'd you do?
I accidentally glued my fingers together.
Does it hurt?
Very much so.
Nigel, you chose your items first.
Yes.
Having the best items means you should have the best kite.
Logically, yeah.
So this will look very bad if you do not have the best kite.
That tracks, yeah.
You want to get a running start? You want to start there? Actually, you want to do whatever you want. I don't care.
I have to first figure out how to not tangle these strings.
Oh, you have 2 strings on it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, yeah, okay.
Just wait
yeah,
for it.
let's get the. It's like winding up in golf. You're gonna get the real one.
Yeah.
It worked so well when the cameras weren't on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does your girlfriend go to another school?
No.
Time? Can we get time on this?
Yeah, really.
Just wait.
I love
I don't need a running start. It's like it's aerodynamic.
And you have to run backwards so fast.
Oh,
touch the ground. Up.
Nah.
You also took like 20 extra minutes to make this kite.
What are you talking about?
We were all done.
I actually think to make it fly, I have to do like a Naruto run.
Yes, there
You need a longer string. It has to go higher.
It worked!
It totally worked! That was sick!
Deputy, you should throw it up in the air for him.
Yeah, do you want me to? Here.
I can't even see what it did. It went all the way up. I just can't run fast enough. I think if someone else helped me, we could keep it in the air.
All right. I'm gonna let go.
Away from each other.
That's cheating.
Let's go. Oh no! No, you're gonna draw in corner. You're gonna rip in half. Oh shit!
It looks like a cross.
Whoa!
I mean, that is semi-functional.
You let go of the tension.
Yeah, I'm in the sticky weeds.
Hey, that worked great. Honestly, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Good job.
Better than
Michael, you went
expected.
second, which meant you have the second best choice.
Can't deny
Honestly, it
won't
looks like
argue.
you went last.
Sometimes you need to innovate. Sometimes you don't. You know, like the mind of a child.
Yeah.
How they'd see, you know, like the paratrooper go up and then they go down. They say, hey,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
That's cool.
That's kind of what we went with, you know.
Okay.
Started putting them on, and I saw the bag of paratroopers. I was thinking that's a great fucking idea. It wasn't a great fucking idea. The parachutes don't come tied to them. So of the 20 minutes, it was about 15 minutes of tying knots onto paratroopers. And by the time I got the last paratrooper, the other guys had hung themselves.
I'm getting some kind of terrorist vibes.
Yeah, I think they tried this to smuggle drugs over Mexico a couple times.
And then what's the paddle for?
It holds my string.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like the soul of a child.
It doesn't lift at all.
It's like a
fuck.
The wind's coming this way, Michael.
I'm just gonna make a freaking fool of myself now. They all hung themselves. They hung themselves.
It's not touching the ground. It's like.
But
somehow...
was it like Nigel's where I didn't see it at first and it went
In the
up?
flat surface to guarantee lift,
Did it do it?
even though it was designed for acceleration. Yeah, pretty much.
I think the whole thing is just like, it's mostly like works on the soul of a child.
It should work.
And like the whimsical dream. Yeah.
There's a lot of energy in that.
Yeah. Where?
Sinks into the ground immediately.
Yeah, it was fucking way up there.
That's fucking sweet. Yeah, okay.
What if you threw it off the bus?
Yeah, that'll do it, Kevin. Thank you.
Good job. That was so good.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, guys.
I think one more child soul and it would have been.
Yeah. I think I just don't have the heart of a child anymore.
No. Well, everyone's dreams.
Yeah, just look like one.
Number 3. You picked third, and
Bravo.
Your kite looks pretty good, honestly.
You know, I went for surface area. I might have gone for a little bit too much surface area. It might be flopping everywhere though.
Why is surface area important to you?
Because wind. You good? Oh no.
I wanted to airlift so bad. It would look fucking nice.
Oh, there's something happening. I think you need more string.
Whoa!
It reminds me of like those drag cars when they deployed the parachute.
Which way's the wind?
Wind's going that way.
Longer string.
Whoa!
Don't hit the tractor. Do you need help?
Maybe we try to get more distance out of it, you know? All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great.
At a theme park on a leash when the parents are just dragging him around.
Yeah.
You want to try again, or?
I don't know. I've kind of lost all hope in it a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Good, very good.
Bravo.
I need to bury this thing now.
Okay, Drake. You've got a kite.
Come on,
and a
stay
garage
pyro.
sign, garage sale sign, and toilet paper. What's the plan?
Well, the goal here was to radically re-envision what you think.
Assuming that he has a plan.
I could've just
Imagine
gone
you
with,
turn a
like,
pizza into a
Paul and
kite. It
Nigel,
would
like,
look
that
like
was
this.
fine, but,
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, I wanted to take a risk. You know, be experimental. I feel like this was worth the risk. You know, I really only have to.
Was
do a
it now?
3-second flight. You know, so that's like
the height matters.
Yeah, yeah.
Height
well,
counts.
I think time is an important gauge. So yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Styro.
Well, if I could get a little gust of wind.
Styro.
The wind just decided no more.
Here we go.
Oh, a little flare. A little flare.
Whoa!
Yay! It's doing so.
He's got
it's going. It's going.
Moment.
See, this thing would have worked at P4.
Interpretive kite flying.
He just gets tangled with it.
Yes.
I can't tell if it's flying or not.
I mean, he's just throwing it.
It's getting suspiciously close. Why is he getting closer and closer to him?
Going beautifully. We're still in the air.
Wow.
Look, it's still flying. Yay.
Really good.
Yay.
It's really good.
Honestly, I'm still watching the toilet paper you threw.
That's the whole thing?
That's it.
You want to try again?
No.
Okay.
I'll grab it though.
This was a kite building competition.
Zie je cowboy? Nou.
But it has a string tied to it, so
it's a kite.
I think it's a kite.
Airplanes can fly.
What's it more of, an airplane or a kite?
Depends how much wind there is, I guess.
Depends on the height it gets to.
Depends on the height it gets to.
What are you hoping happens?
I hope I can get it over the power lines. You know, it'll just glide no matter what. So I kind of cheated. I called Peter and I asked him how to fly a kite. And he says you just have to balance it really good.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know what that means. I have no idea.
Which direction is it supposed to balance?
But I think it's pretty good.
Good luck, Kevin.
Thank you, Nigel.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Oh, shit!
Whoa!
It's
upside down.
It's flying way better.
It's upside down.
Maybe you have to throw it.
You need the weight
Hey, deputy, sheriff, I think he needs help.
to balance it.
You need help?
I think there's some help.
I think I need some help.
You want a running start?
I think so. No, you just gotta wait for a big gust.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's too stable.
It really reminds me
He's
of
the ground.
Boeing 737 Max.
I like what we're
The one that fell to the ground.
You know, traditional shape is
Good.
you know, does something.
I think the 2 strings was a good idea too.
That was a last minute change.
Where is he?
Okay.
Oh, I didn't see him up there.
Hey, what are you doing up there? What's your plan?
Well, it didn't really fly so well as a kite.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll do better as a plane.
Are you gonna jump with
Make
it?
sure
or
you
just
check the
gonna
wind
throw it?
direction. Is it better to go with the wind or against the wind?
I think with the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely with the wind.
Wow, your kite has 2 modes.
Because of the drag coefficient.
2, 1.
Oh.
Whoa!
Nice.
Hey, that's pretty good.
It's like
Yeah, more weight on the front and it would fly really well.
Buttleys. It's Jabril.
And
With a-
Mildred. And Mildred.
Oh, and Mildred.
Mildred?
You just said it was Melvin like a second ago.
Mildew. Jabril and Mildew. Number 6. The worst supplies, the most enthusiasm, misguided.
The most
confidence.
supplies.
What do you got for us
You
today?
got nothing.
So I hate building kites.
Jesus.
And I went last. So I'm
You
glad
finished
no one
first.
took. What?
You finished first, right?
Yeah, of course I finished first. That's a given no matter the challenge.
Ah,
I
is it?
took Milvid. I adopted him. This is now my inspiration to build kites, so I built this.
Some fucking voodoo doll.
And,
Who was that again?
Mildred.
It's Melfin. And this is about to be the best performance you've seen in your life.
All right. Show us what you got.
Okay.
What's your finger taste like?
Like salt.
Okay, noted.
It's pretty windy.
Let him cook this up.
Lightning speed.
This could actually work because we will be grabbing a lot of.
Feels good now.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I went so
Okay, it doesn't.
Ground start.
Not an Airbender though.
That's how it's done.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
That
That's
went
how you
so
show
high.
up, and that's
Dude,
how
that
you
went
perform.
crazy.
That went so high. It was so high.
Whoa! You'll see it again.
Yeah, go do it again.
Whoa!
Go that way. Go that way.
That's so dumb.
Go up to the house.
That's how you do it.
Emily, there's really only one winner, right? One obvious winner. Do you think it was you?
No.
Drake, do you think you deserve the win?
Yeah, I think my
Really?
kite.
Sorry.
Asked me this
No, just
question, and-
continue.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean,
you sure?
My kite spent the most time in the air. Like the time between like touching the ground. Mine spent the most time in the air.
Did you also spend the most time running?
No.
No.
Nope.
You don't think so?
That was him.
I feel like I recall your hand being 2 inches away from the kite itself.
Boom.
Yeah, it was further than, and I mean, I was also kind of glued to the kite, if you remember that. A bit of a mishap with some of the super glue.
Nigel.
Yes.
You had the strongest kite.
I think they should play rock, paper, scissors.
You had the only kite that went above. Would you like to play rock,
He had the
paper,
only
scissors
kite
for
that looked
first
like a
place?
kite.
No.
No.
I think they should play rock, paper, scissors.
Would you like to give your point to anyone else?
No.
Okay, then it's your point.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you like that, there's 7 more episodes of Scare the Coyote on sauceplus.com.
Right. Yeah, I got nothing else. And I'm fairly tired, so this will be a short stream, I'm afraid. Oh, man. Where was that? Let me see. Ra-pa-pa-pa-pa. Ooh. What the hell? Oh, wait. Can you load?
How you going?
There we go. Let me just go to the shop real quick. Like 10 minutes at most, probably less. Be right back and I'll watch that. My homemade chatbot is terrifying. I did a thing. He usually has some absolutely horrifying and how do I put it? Deranged builds and inventions. So be right back. There we go.
Everybody got their cross to bear, and I got mine and I got yours
I are back. Da, da, da. Right. Oh man, it's so pleasant outside. Yet my apartment feels like a fucking oven. I need a glass. Give me a sec. Right. Let's start it. Bam.
This is the loudest thing my neighbours have ever heard.
Pulse jet engines. Who pulls jet engines? And I think she only fired one.
Take off my ears every time I run it. And today, I'm going to see the top speed of this baby. In my safest video yet, where I don't get arrested or burn my property down.
I destroyed the jet engine.
Alright, so I already have one pulse jet which sat on a swing and was too scary for me to be on. So my safer idea is to put it on this tiny boat. But first, I need to make the pulse jet self-starting, as at the moment it takes an annoying amount of time to start with a leaf blower, which is funny when it burns my mate.
Fire in the hole.
It won't be possible on the water. I want to just press a button and have it turn on. And I think I can do it by just fiddling around with the fuel line and making it so it pulls in air and not just gas. So its first explosion has enough force to pull more air in and get it started. So I cut out my fuel line and put it in a better spot. And by better, I mean trying completely random locations until it felt right. And then used a tissue to check how much airflow there is.
What's up with those tissues, mate? What's going on in there, bud?
So I welded it up and gave it a go.
That's not doing anything, mate.
And it's...
I've watched enough Colin First to know that this can go extremely badly for him.
Definitely less funny when that happens to me and not my mate. So I better not look down the exhaust anymore. And it ain't working, so I chatted to this guy, Build and Pulse Jets, who's one of the kings of making pulse jets on YouTube. And after talking, he sent me an email with some very small changes I could make. Including just opening the gas quicker and threatening to harm the pulse jet's children. So, I tried that.
Like what I did to your brother? Huh? Do ya?
It worked.
And that was awesome. So I did it again. And again. And it's amazing how much better these engines run with some small changes. And if you want to learn out how to do it, go check out his channel. And I'm really curious how this pulse jet sounds from far away, as when I put a decibel reader near it, I got 150 decibels, which is louder than a passenger plane and loud enough to cause physical damage, which explains why my head hurts. So if I want to turn it on remotely, all I need is a solenoid, an Arduino, and a laptop. And then using the sponsor of today's video, AnyDesk, I could turn on the pulse jet without being anywhere near it. Or use it to access my computer without being there, which is actually very useful. Let's say cops are coming over for something dodgy I've done. I can get remote access to my computer and then delete anything I want. AnyDesk allows you to manage and access your devices from anywhere in the world with low latency and low bandwidth. Meaning,
I used AnyDesk. It's kind of shite.
How to use the TikTok. You can log on to their computer and help them with any technical
It's annoying as hell. Has a lot of
You
issues.
can access your own computer remotely and do editing or anything else you want. AnyDesk is free for personal use and allow custom plans for businesses, and it's so easy to use. AnyDesk is also a pretty sick company, and they told me they will pay for whatever crazy and dangerous video ideas you come up with. So if you have any ridiculous video ideas that you want me to try, like turning the pulse jets into a missile and then bombing New Zealand, submit them to anydesk.com/science. And if your idea gets picked, you'll win some prizes. Big thank you to AnyDesk for sponsoring this video. So now I'm going to try it on the boat.
Okay, jet boat, jet engine.
At night. The neighbors must be so fucking pleased. There must be a noise complaint, man.
That looks alright, but I reckon it needs more thrust, as I wanted it to go through the garage wall. So I'm going to revisit this top hat and augmenter, which just increases the mass flow by pulling in more air for the pulse jet to move. But I still don't believe they work, and I carefully made a hole in the boat.
Yeah, what the fuck did I do with that line? Put a hole in the boat for no fucking reason.
Then put some pins in the old weld holes and pushed it back in place. And at least if it doesn't work, the pulse jet now has a bigger hat than every other pulse jet out there. And I don't think I learnt anything from that, as I've got no way of comparing it to the old pulse jet. So I pulled out
no
the scale.
measurements.
And then I did a comparison test between augmenter on and augmenter off, but I forgot to turn on the scale when using the augmentor, which counts as a reading of 0 thrust, which means no augmenter wins. But before I cut it off, I want to try one more thing. Using the augmenter like an afterburner and injecting more gas into the exhaust, which will hopefully double the thrust for some reason. And you can tell I wasn't very good at birthday cakes as a kid, as obviously the pulse jet just blows out the flame. So I made a thing to try and protect the flame on the gas pipe and gave that a go. I don't think anything was happening. Now in this clip, you'll see I'm getting real desperate, and I just chucked a random cone piece of metal in.
That actually looks good.
And that worked really well if my intention was to put Ahmet, my local Turkish waxer, out of business, which I really don't want to do. In fact, he's probably going to cry just seeing this footage. And the burn made me real thirsty, and after having some milk, I realised this milk jug is kind of exactly the shape of a valved pulse jet, which I could make as well and put on the boat to get more thrust. All I need are some valves, valves, and they allow air in this way, but don't let it out the other way, just like a vulva. So now I just need to make some kind of plate for them to attach to, which is the perfect job for my new tool, the Wazer, which is an awesome small
does this work? Is it like a
light work of metal like this.
a Tesla valve?
This is really much better than doing water cutting like I used to. Which did work, but was quite messy. But now I just draw a picture and it cuts whatever I tell it to. Alright, it doesn't fit, so I try it again and again. And eventually I got them to fit, and this isn't the Wazer's fault, I've just been using MS Paint to make 2D files. Then I just put it in the milk jug with a gas line and gave it a go. And if you were shouting at the computer right now saying this won't work, that's kind of weird, and you should probably see a psychiatrist for that aggressive behaviour. But yes, I don't know why I was expecting this to work. This milk jug looks nothing like a valved pulse jet, besides the fact it has some valves. But after gassing myself with whatever lead-laced arsenic paint was on the bottle, I was feeling quite high, so I just gave up.
Solid.
So I've decided I'm just going to go back to doing what I know best, rolling some cones. And I'm just going to make another pulse jet and put it on the boat. And to save me the hassle of rolling the sheet metal by hand, I snuck into this blind guy's shed and used his roller. And even though I've made a lot of cones now, I've never really got the hang of it, but at least my welds are getting better and better. But the more I put it together, the more it was beginning to feel really wrong. So I just drank an entire box of wine before seeing if the pulse jet works.
Nice ass, man.
It wouldn't start, and it did this weird thing.
Thank you
where it
for
broke
the
my
angle.
camera. So I'm going to blame my welds, and I'm going to attempt to fix them
Those are
with
shit.
TIG welding, something I've never done before, and just try smooth out my welds. If you don't know much about TIG welding, this weld right here is what you are looking for. It's got lots of little relief holes which allow excess gas to escape the metal so no cracks will form. Also, the lumpier your welds look, the stronger they usually are. You also want to touch the tungsten stick to the metal so it melts as much as possible, as that way you'll have to sharpen the end, meaning you get lots of work breaks and have a nice work-life balance. And then after comparing it to the other one I made, I've realized I made the pulse jets completely different sizes.
Fucking different.
Which is very weird, as I did follow my plans exactly.
Two Zong Bi Cao Wood Lockwood Hiller.
Chinese.
And that means I need to cut it apart and build it again without any of my proper tools or workbench. But that also means I finally get to live out my dream of looking like a Cambodian bicycle repairman.
Oh my god. Just covering his eyes with a hand.
This song playing right now is Thai, not Cambodian. But I shouldn't have told you, as you're a racist and wouldn't have known the difference. But at least the pulse jets look the same, which I hope means they work. But I'm going to have to use another boat, as this one is a little too small, and also some idiot made a hole in it. So I thought I should replace it with a boat with even bigger and better holes in it. Big nut. But I'm going to fill up the holes, as I don't want any fish getting a free upskirt on me while I'm on the water. So I filled them up with some privacy goo, which I hope keeps the fish away. I'm looking at you, Blue Groper. And in my previous pulse jet swing, I just shoved a normal barbecue gas hose in the pipe, which leaked a lot. But that was actually very useful, as it meant I could smell if the gas was on or not.
Stop. No, it was spraying liquid propane onto you. So get away.
But since I want both of these to run on liquid propane, which is much more powerful,
Oh my god, that is horrifying, man.
a leak would be very bad. So I made these threaded inserts on the lathe, which I'm going to try shrink fitting and pushing inside this pipe. And I don't have a freezer up here, so I had the genius idea of just using the propane to both shrink and expand the part. And it's looking pretty cold, so hopefully it goes in. And it did go in, about as much as your dad, but it should be enough. And now I need to use liquid hoses, which are rated to not explode, unlike this one. But the only difference I can see is that these ones are covered in a fine layer of pubic hair. I also need a tank specifically rated for liquid LPG, as the pressure and forces are much higher. These blue ones, which are very expensive. And the reason these bottles are so expensive is because they have a special valve straw thing inside that sucks up the liquid propane and not the gas. So I just made my own by painting the top of a normal LPG bottle blue. Now I reckon the pulse jets are going to look the coolest if they are kind of in a formation like this. And we didn't do any measurements, we just welded it up, which somehow fit on the boat, and then couldn't resist seeing if it starts up.
It doesn't.
And that sounded more like a fart escaping my butt cheeks than a pulse jet. So something is wrong. So I tried starting
after a heavy night of getting fucked,
because I know it started like that before. And they seemed like they wanted to start, but were almost interfering with each other. And I think I know who to blame. The wogs. The 2,000 of them inside this ball valve, which means there might not be enough room for the gas to flow. It could also be the exhausts messing with each other, which actually makes sense. Here's the problem with having two. It's a bit like trying to breathe, but you have another man trying to breathe right in front of your face. And when I breathe, he breathes out. So I'm breathing in, but I'm getting his used CO2 and not clean oxygen. And it's exactly the same with these pulse jets. If they pulse out of sync, they can't breathe. But if I put something in between the men, that means they can't breathe each other's breath. So I tried doing that with the pulse jets. And also combined the combustion chambers with a bit of
slightly
pipe so they
better.
pulse and sync, and then sealed up the gaps with what I hope was clay.
Is it poo?
Which still didn't work, so I'm going to try and isolate them more. I'm going to cut the frame in half and put these rubber stoppers underneath so they aren't vibrating each other as much. Then also tilt them away from each other so they aren't sucking each other off. Which which still didn't work, which makes me think it must be this T-junction or WOG valve. As maybe when one starts to run, it's pulsing up the gas line, or one of them just starts to take all the fuel. So I'm going to try separate bottles, one gas and one liquid. But because it's too hot to get behind the liquid propane and it also won't self-start, I shoved some pipe into a leaf blower and gave that a go.
Nice. And he's wondering why he got cops called on him.
And that works really well, except that I smell smoke. My first thought was that it was my Lebanese neighbor doing a wedding again. But then I realized it was on my property.
Oh, there's fires!
And that's when I got scared, not for my life, but for my chairs, as I had left my 2 favorite sitting chairs up the back of the property, and they really, really hate fire.
This was our sitting chair.
Wait, but look, that was yours.
No, that was yours, man.
No, this is
Hey,
yours.
Get out of here. That was your one. Don't give me the burnt one. Get out of here.
Man, look up there.
Oh, it's on fire. This was your chair.
I did not fall back into the ash.
You're such a destructive element.
Alright, now I just need to paint another bottle blue if I want them both to be running on liquid LPG.
Why are the sparklers
They're
inside?
still acting a bit weird and not working as consistently as when one is gas and one liquid. And I thought spark plugs might help, and previously I just welded them in, but this time I'm being smart and I made this bung here, which will allow me to change the spark plug when it gets dirty. And I was feeling great about myself until I realized the spark plug I want to use isn't the same size as the bung. So I ended up just welding it in, then wired up some tasers to this gyrocopter control panel and gave it a test. And it's working like half the time. They're mostly still fighting each other. Like in this clip, they both started well until one of them flamed out. And then look how the other one sucks in the flames.
Yeah.
So I put the divider back in between them. Which worked, and then put the final touches on, before realizing I have no way to move the boat, which now weighs over 200 kilos. So I just got this old hitch and decided to weld an engine hoist to it, so I can steal this jet ski's trailer.
Keep showing my license plate.
I have no idea if this is smart to do. I might just be bending my car's frame, but it did work, and now Big Nut is on its trailer ready for a test on the water. It's a little bit of overhang, right?
It's more on than not.
It is more on than not. But it turns out this pulse jet isn't as quiet as I thought, and a cop pulled me over in the driveway about the noise. I'm a dumb guy. And then, back in Sydney, some cops showed up. And yes, I may have also turned it on in Sydney. And at first it was quite awkward, as I explained to them that I definitely only ordered male strippers, and they were also 2 hours early. But the cops were very nice and fair, and just told me I shouldn't be running the jet engine next to a preschool, which is also fair. But how else are kids going to learn about science? They also referenced my other videos and told me to stop making things that resemble guns, which I have never done. And then the constable asked if her colleague could lean on my house as he was feeling quite tired, and I said yes. And they finished by telling me if I turn it on again, they're going to get a warrant and come back and shoot me, which is also fair. So I promised
American
them I would
style,
never
I see.
ever turn it on again, on land. And the boat was already filling up with water. And I also haven't figured out steering, I just went in circles. So we thought what might help is putting 80 kilos of rocks in the back, as the boat is sitting nose down in the water, so that might lift the front up. immediately I realized my idea of steering via differential thrust and throttling them up and down
That's
was going
not
to be
smart.
really hard. I'm kind of working in reverse. So I tried again, but this time using a paddle to steer. Which just immediately filled the boat full of water. And you'll notice I don't have a heat shield protecting me or the gas bottles from the pulse jets. And my logic was that the wind pushing past me would cool me down. I was wrong, and after running it for only 10 seconds, I was getting real hot and my skin was starting to burn up, and I almost considered jumping in the water. So we put some more rocks in and then made a...
It's not about getting cold with like the air or whatever. Nothing can cool you from that because it's like standing in the sun. What's hitting him is the heat radiating as infrared radiation from the pulse jet, not the actual hot air, right? So it's literally directly heating up his skin, bypassing all the air.
A heat shield and did it again.
Flame out.
And the noise was starting to attract a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's the goal. It sounds really loud and powerful, like it should go fast, but it's like I'm probably going the same speed as you guys. It's pretty disappointing so far.
And the confusion of people trying to work it out was definitely the most entertaining thing about building this.
What? Whoa, back. The loud, strange grinding noise is echoing over Smith's Lake the last few days. This is posted on another page. The noise. Link doesn't work, unfortunately.
Of people trying to work it out was definitely the most entertaining thing about building this.
What, you just thought he was bringing in bigger and bigger tools?
I didn't think it was my neighbour anymore.
Some people thought it was a tsunami, military planes, mining equipment, our Prime Minister. The closest guess was definitely a brothel. And I'm not sure what kind of brothels Peter is visiting, but everyone I've been to usually just sound like beautiful women pointing and laughing at me. And I tried again.
Oh, he's going semi-straight. Another more.
And that time worked out steering a bit better, and I can turn it in the direction I want by throttling them with the ball.
Look at the
but
fucking
I'm
waves.
not getting the boat up on plane, and I'm just pushing the nose down into the water. So we chucked even more rocks into the boat and some Hindi gods I found in the water for good luck.
Cool, that makes sense. The heat shield is vibrating. It's like all over the place. Look just how much fucking heat it's radiating. No wonder he was getting cooked. Oops.
I destroyed the jet engine. I destroyed the jet engine.
And that was my best run yet, and I got up to 29 k's an hour. In American units, that's the length of 61 World Trade Centers an hour. But I also destroyed one of the pulse jets.
It
And that
exploded.
probably happened because the heat shield was blocking the wind from cooling it and also reflecting
Yeah,
the
it
heat back into the
melted.
tube. But that means I'm done, which is a shame, as if I had just spent a little bit more time figuring out proper weighting of the boat, it probably would have got up on plane and would have gone a lot faster. But I guess now we'll never know how fast the boat goes. Thank you so much for watching. If you like that, please subscribe
That's
and
cool.
check out some
Anyway.
of my other videos.
Anyway, I gotta go. Need to get some sleep. Got work to do tomorrow. Need to wake up early. We're behind schedule, so yeah. See ya.